courtroom. Everyone ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Anything anyone needs to bring up before we bring the jurors back?
No, sir.
Let's bring them back.
Y'all, we got back just on time.
Are you able to increase the volume at all?
Yes. I think I can do it, or I think you can do it. Either way, I can do it. Well, technically, what I can do is increase the volume of the microphones and audio system. I can see if that does it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we had a witness on the stand. Let's recall that person.
Yes, Your Honor. Ryan Stiff.
Did you already give me a transcript or no?
Not yet.
Okay. I was looking for it, but I didn't see it. Guess there's good reason for that. Do you want me to reread all the things I've read?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any more questions for him before we play?
No, sir.
Okay. Have a seat, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read to you again the previous instructions I gave to you regarding recordings, okay? Members of the jury, you are about to view or listen to an audio or video recording. The court instructs you that the recording has been edited to eliminate irrelevant portions that would not add to your understanding of the case. The fact that the recording has been edited should not concern you in any way and must not impact the way you view or listen to and consider this evidence. You are about to hear and watch a recorded interview that contains opinions and statements by Detective Ryan Stith, Detective Kip Peterson, and Detective Daniel Pender to Susan Lorincz. These opinions and statements are pertinent only to explain the reactions and responses they elicit. You are not to consider these opinions and statements by the police officer as true, but only to establish the context of Susan Lorinc's reactions and responses. You are about to hear recorded conversations. These recorded conversations are proper evidence, and you may consider them just as any other evidence. You are also being furnished transcripts of the recorded conversations. The recordings are the evidence, and the transcripts are provided to you only as a guide to help you follow as you listen to the recordings. The transcripts are not evidence of what was actually said or who said it. If you notice any difference between what you hear on the recordings and what you read in the transcripts, you must rely on what you hear, not what you read.
May I provide the jury the transcript, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm informed the video is about an hour long. If you need a break before that hour is up, please raise your hand and we'll all take a break, okay?
Susan?
Okie dokie.
Susan, I appreciate you coming back in and talking. You already have a water? Is there anything else we can get for you right now? You're doing okay? All right, very good. Again, if you remember Detective Stiff, this is Detective
I'm
Pender.
Detective Pender. I haven't got a chance to meet you yet, but I'm looking forward to be able to speak with you. I work with Detective Stiff. We work together. I was learning different things. So anyways, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and let him cover what he needs to, and then I'll get a chance to meet you then, okay?
So, Susan, obviously when we spoke the other night, there was kind of a lot of things going on still. A lot of the pieces of what happened were still trying to be put together. Since then, we've obviously talked to a lot more witnesses who were there. We gained access to some video from around the area of where your complex is located. So during those interviews, during that process of obtaining new stuff, obviously it brings new questions that we wanted to kind of cover with you, try to verify some of the stuff you said, as well as clarify things that we don't quite understand. So I was hoping that we could do that today. Obviously, just like last time, I want to make sure that you understand your rights and everything. So before we get started, I just have to read you the same thing I did last time. Yes. Okay. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer with him, have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any question if you wish. You can decide at any time to execute these rights, not answer any questions, or make any statements. You understand each of those rights I've explained to you? Okay. And having those rights in mind, you willing to talk to us now?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, we've talked to a bunch of other people since then. Has there been anything that you've thought of since you and I have last talked, in person at least, that you can remember that maybe at the time, because there was a lot of emotions and,
I don't know what else I could tell you honestly.
Okay. So nothing that happened that night that you didn't remember at the time, or you just, like I said, it was a lot going on that you maybe didn't think
I
to
don't know
say
what to
it.
tell you because I thought I told you everything.
Okay, all right. So some of the things, like I said, we were just trying to clarify because we were in the room together for a while
Yes.
talking, and we went over a lot of different things. So one of the things I wanted to clarify with you is, and try to understand better, is when Ajike was at the door, when she approached the door, when was it that you realized that it was her coming to the door?
Because I said, who's there?
Okay, how did you know someone was there initially? Was it
There was
because,
a huge banging.
okay,
Just pounding at that door.
okay. So initially, there was no words, it was just the pounding, that's what started
Yes,
the interaction there?
yes.
And where was the pounding at initially, where it first began?
The front door.
At the front door?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did she, was it just like
It was,
one, or
no,
was
no,
it
no, it was
several?
just bang, bang, bang,
Okay,
bang.
all right, and then you said
Who's
you asked her
there?
who's
Yeah.
there? Okay, and what was said then?
I think she said, why do you speak to my children this way? And I said, listen, I'm not gonna speak to you, go away. If she had a problem, she should have called you guys.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, if she really thought there was something seriously wrong, I don't understand why she just came over and just started pounding on my door and, screaming and yelling. So.
And then what happened after you said to go away?
Go away, and then it got quiet for a bit, and then she started really banging, just pounding on that door. She was relentless.
How long is a bit, would you say?
I don't know,
Like
because
5-10 seconds or 2 minutes? Or?
it was an extended period of time, probably 20, 30 seconds,
Okay.
easily.
But during that time, you didn't hear anything else? Did you think she went away?
Nobody obviously knew she didn't go away because she was screaming while she was pounding.
Describe that, when you say screaming, describe what does that mean?
She was just, you're not supposed to speak to my children this way. Why did you, and then she was saying, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, holy shit, and that's what
Well, you said there was like the initial barrage of the pounding, and you said, who's there? And she said, what you said about not talking to her children that way.
Yeah.
And then you said it got quiet. So there was no banging, there was no words being
No.
said.
Because I thought she went away.
That's what I was asking, basically. I'm sorry if I.
No, it's okay. I thought, all right, she's just gonna do whatever she wants to do.
And you said that was like 20 to 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And then did she start yelling again first, or was there more banging?
It was banging, it was yelling. I thought she was just gonna break down the door.
Okay,
So, my heart was pounding and I was like, she's really gonna kill me.
okay,
That's all
so
I felt.
when she first came up and where were you when she started the
I
beating,
was
the
in the
very first
bathroom.
time? You were in the bathroom
Yeah.
when she started beating?
Yeah.
And did you come to the door?
Well, I was approaching the door and then she started screaming and I knew who it was.
Okay.
I said, that's it, I'm not opening this door.
Okay,
And because I figured if she came in, she would just absolutely pound me into the ground.
all right, and then when it became silent, after that first round of beating on your door, where were you at then? Did you go,
I think I went
some,
to wash my hands, honestly,
okay,
because I didn't know who was at the door and I wanted to know, and then I was,
okay,
so I went back and washed my hands.
okay.
So,
So that's during the time where it was kind of
Mhm,
quiet and you
yes.
thought that maybe she went away?
mhm.
Okay. And, when the banging and the yelling started again, where were you at then?
I think I was in the kitchen.
Okay. All right. And then what happened?
And then she just kept banging and yelling, I'm like, you need to leave, you're trespassing, get off my porch, get out of here, I'm not talking to you, leave.
Okay. Who else was outside the door besides Ajike? You don't know?
I have no idea.
Where were the other kids? Because I know the kids had been over there prior
Previous-
to her coming over,
Yeah,
or?
they were right by the, where the fence is, and then there's a sidewalk. They were
Yeah.
right beyond that sidewalk, inside where it's supposed to be no trespassing.
Okay, so they were outside of the fence while she was banging on the door? Oh, you're not
No,
sure?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You asked me when the kids were there earlier.
Right.
So, and the kids finally, I went inside. I figured they left.
So you didn't know who else was out there at that
No.
time? Okay. So you went to the kitchen and she was still pounding on the door and
Pounding.
yelling? And I know we've kind of gone over this a lot, but I want to make sure, now we're getting more like in order of things, because the first time we talked, it was kind of just like, it all came out all at once.
Mhm.
And now that you've had a little bit of time to kind of think about things that happened again and try to get it in a good order that things happen, because it's very important to be able to say, okay, this happened first, this is what happened next, so that we don't get them confused or anything.
Okay.
So, after that initial silence where, well, I wouldn't say silence, but it got quiet, you were washing your hands in the bathroom, and then the pounding and the yelling started again, and you went to the kitchen. What were you
Yes.
doing in the kitchen? Just,
I was looking for my phone.
okay,
So I put my phone down somewhere and I started panicking. I started searching for the phone. And then she just kept banging and banging and banging. I'm gonna kill you, get out of here. And I'm like, I have nowhere to go. I mean, I was in the kitchen. There's the sliders and the sliders are always locked. And just that one door, so there's no escape.
okay.
I couldn't leave. I couldn't get out of there. I was like, Jesus Christ. And she was pounding so hard. The mirror on my wall was shaking.
Okay, so that first, I'm sorry to go back, but that first time that she pounds on the door, how long do you think that lasted before there was kind of the silence? I know you said she hit the door, you said, who's there? And that was it said.
Probably 5-10 seconds she was pounding the first time.
Okay. And then when it started again, how long, and I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit, but we'll kind of come back. When she started pounding on the door again and saying all that stuff to the point where you fired the gun, how long do you think that lasted?
2 to 5 minutes.
2 to 5
So,
minutes.
I don't
Oh,
know, it just,
wow.
everything's kind of, it was a while. I mean, it was a while. I kept
Mhm.
thinking, okay, you guys are gonna show up, because I had called earlier and no one's coming. I'm like, shit, couldn't find my phone. And she was just banging and banging, screaming at me, telling me, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, she's gonna kill me this time. That's all I kept thinking. She's really gonna come in this house and kill me.
Okay. When did you find your phone? At what point?
After I shot her. I just started searching the house frantically until I found it, and I wanted to make sure that I called and said, I shot, because I heard her go, ugh. And I
So
was-
where was your phone?
It was in my computer room.
In the computer room? Okay.
So, let me just understand this a little better, because I'm not really sure. So, the woman that got shot, what is her name?
AJ.
AJ, right, it's AJ.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long have you known her?
I really didn't know her. I just, she was a neighbor across the street,
Okay, so how long has she been a neighbor across the street from you? Help me understand that.
a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, year and a half and 2 years. And in that year and a half and 2 years, how many times have you guys been able to talk?
We never talked. It's more like screaming.
No, okay, all right. So maybe better would we communicate. How many times have you guys been able to communicate in that year and a half or 2 years?
2-3 times.
2 or 3 times. And in those 2 or 3 times over a year and a half and 2 years, what were you guys screaming about? What were you guys communicating about?
She would take her dog and walk it on my sidewalk to make sure it's shit on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Of all the places you can walk and take your animal, you're gonna come here. And she
Sure.
said, it's the only place my dog would go to the bathroom.
Okay,
I'm
So-
like, no, I don't think so.
okay. So you guys would have a disagreement regarding that, some screaming regarding the dog pooping where it shouldn't. What else would you guys communicate about in that 2 or 3 times?
Then one time she was talking to the neighbors and she said, oh, that bitch over there is crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna, sorry. I walked over, I said, what is your problem? And she just went on a tirade. I have never heard someone scream like this woman. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, she exploded. And I'm like, oh shit.
How long ago was that?
2 months ago.
2 months?
2 months ago. And then she was saying I called her kids all kinds of names, and I'm like, no, I didn't. And the more I said no, the more irate she got. Finally, I'm like, you know what, let me just back off, say yes, I'll apologize, and scurry away.
What kind of things was she saying that you called her kids?
I called them racial slurs, that I called them slaves, and that's never happened. I mean, when she said, I'm like, why don't you stop already, stop lying, And I was like,
Okay, but then we're talking about what happened there today, and this woman that she passed away. You said that you guys have yelled at each other 3 or 4 times in about a year and a half to 2 years. Is that right?
yes.
And the last time she yelled at you a lot. Did you ever? I've worked as a patrol deputy for years before becoming a detective. Did you guys ever get in like a fight in the street or anything like that? No, nothing like that.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm
sorry.
I gotta ask, I guess I don't know you that well. Did she ever brandish a weapon or anything like that or something?
The only thing she ever did is she picked up the no trespassing sign and threw it at me and hit me.
Okay. And I know that the police came out a lot of times. Did the police ever come out for that time when she threw the sign?
Yeah, and then everybody in the neighborhood said, oh, we didn't see anything.
Okay.
So it was a he said, she said, so they said they couldn't charge anything.
Sure.
I'm like, all right.
And obviously you have a firearm. I haven't had a chance to ask you about this. Now, is that a gun that you've had for years? You just had it for a couple of weeks? Help me understand that.
No, over a year.
Okay, over a year. And where do you normally keep that secured in the house?
That's usually next, it was in a garbage can next to my bed.
Okay. And is it like?
Now, that was the Remington that you're talking about that you got
Remington.
over a year ago?
Yes.
Okay, so when we were at the house, there was the other one,
Yes.
the 22,
The
was a
Ruger.
Ruger.
Mhm.
How long have you had that firearm?
A few months.
Just a few months?
Yeah, not very long. And the only reason I did it is because it was so expensive to shoot the Remington.
Oh, with the
So
380
the
rounds are
380, yeah,
expensive,
way
yeah.
more expensive. So I got the little plinker, just target practice and stuff like that.
Are you experienced with firearms? You got 2 guns, and it sounds like you have the little plinker, and you know about the price of ammo. Are you well versed with them?
I used to be terrified of firearms.
Uh-huh.
And then a friend said, you really can't defend yourself. He said, you should think about getting a gun.
Okay.
So,
When did you first get a gun? Was it just, or did you have other guns historically?
no, I never did.
Okay.
I first bought a 9mm, but it was just way too much gun for me, so I sold it.
Uh-huh.
And then I got the little 380.
Okay. And did you go to any kind of training for those using guns, like going to the range, or tell me about that?
Went to the range, watched videos, all the other stuff, self-educating, and I was gonna go take a permit to carry course,
Sure.
and I didn't get around to it.
Yeah. Okay. So you were self-training yourself. You had plans to do that in the future, but it didn't come to that. So thank you for helping me understand that. And describe to me, AJ. You've only had these arguments with her a few times, but what I'm confused about is that we're talking about her banging on it 3 times, and then there's the pause, and there's everything else you just described in Detective Stiff. And you said that this was the time that she was going to come and kill you. That's confusing to me because it sounds like you guys really didn't have any other times that she was going to come and kill you.
No, she was saying she's gonna kill me. I mean, she's verbalizing it. She would say, I'm gonna kill you.
Okay.
That's how, it's not like this is the time she's gonna come and kill me. I
So
mean,
I'm trying to get into your
she's-
mind, and I'm trying to be brought to that moment to why you believe that. And we were talking, you were in the bathroom, then you were in the kitchen. I mean, I know that she's saying something, and you're inside your house, and she's on the other side of that wall and that door. Were you able to ever see her to see if she had anything in her hands?
There's no people in it.
There's no peephole, thanks. Okay. Were you able to look through a window or anything to see if she had anything in her hands or anything? Okay. So you don't know if what's going on, but you can hear her voice.
Yes.
And you said that she's hitting the wall hard enough that was it the door?
Mirror.
That the mirror is moving,
Yes.
and she's hitting the door.
She's hitting me.
Okay. And there's no peephole or anything like that. You don't know who all's out there, but you can hear her voice.
Yes.
Okay. What made you shoot that spot on the door? It sounds like you had some experience with the gun, so bring me to that moment where what happened?
I grabbed the gun, I was shaking like a leaf, and the more she found me, the more she screamed. I was like, stop, 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 go away, move away. She wouldn't move away. Finally, I'm gonna kill you, and that was the last time, and I just fired the weapon.
Okay, was there a spot you picked or something like that?
I just kind of, there was the door, I knew she was at the door. Shot the door.
So since the last time you and I talked, I went in the
Mhm.
house, we, did the stuff inside the house as far as photographing,
Mhm.
looking at where everything is at related to where
Mhm.
the door is. And you said you had shot from the kitchen, so when you come in, it's like
Kitchen
a
table.
kitchen
The
table?
table that's there, the two seats with the table.
Okay.
That's where I shot from.
That's where you shot from, okay. Like right next to it,
Yes,
or like further back?
it was, I remember the table being there.
Okay, how were you holding the gun when you fired it?
like
With
that.
2 hands?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were initially in the kitchen when, well, you went to the restroom and then you were in the kitchen looking for your phone
Mhm.
while she was pounding on the door. And you said that you believe it was between 2 and 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Was that total time before, from when the first pounding started to the time that you fired the shot, 2 to 5 minutes? Or do you think it was shorter time than that or
To
longer?
me, it seemed like 2 to 5 minutes.
2 to 5 minutes
More-
total?
Well, by the time I shot the weapon, at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
So-
Did she ever try to open that glass sliding door or open the door handle or anything like that? Or was it just the
I
pounding?
just remember her pounding and pounding and
Okay.
pounding.
So you said that you kept the firearm in the trash can in the
Mhm.
bedroom, so at some point, did you go,
Yes,
so you thought about it and said, I might need this, or,
absolutely. I mean, I got terrified. I mean, I was so terrified she was gonna come in and kill me.
okay, so you left the kitchen area?
Yes,
And that's when you went to your bedroom?
yes.
Okay. Where was the other gun at that time, do you know?
I thought it was right there.
The Ruger?
I thought the river was right there.
I mean, we found, yeah, it was, but you said that you used the 380, right?
Yeah.
When you fired the gun, okay. Is there any reason why you chose that gun aside the other one? They were
It's the
both
one-
loaded, right?
They were both loaded. I was just the one I picked up.
Okay, did you handle the other gun at all?
I don't remember.
Don't remember.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. Because the reason I asked is when we went in there, the 22 was actually on top of the 380. So, I'm just trying to figure out how it is that you went in there, took the 380, fired the 380, went back, and you would have put it back in there, but then the other gun was on top of it. So I'm just trying to figure out if maybe, you're just moving stuff around after things happened or something fell. I'm just trying to understand.
It may have fallen off the bed. I don't know. I just remember looking for my phone and I just remember I put the gun back in. So, there's all kinds of papers in there. So it could have flip-flopped.
Is that an actual, like, do you use it for trash or those important papers that were in
Those
there?
are papers that I keep.
Okay. All right. So you said it was about, let me ask you this, and maybe this can kind of help us get a better time frame. From the time that you called 911, these kids are on my property and they're yelling, what happened that first 911 call? That time that you hung up with 911, how long before she showed up and she was pounding on the door after you hung up?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So about 10 minutes after you disconnected and they said, hey, we have deputies on the way.
Mhm.
10 minutes after that is when she started pounding on your
Yes.
door. Okay. And you say anywhere from, you believe from 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there, and I just want to be clear, 2 to 5 minutes from the first time she pounded to the time where you felt in danger enough to pull the trigger?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many times, I know this is, how many times do you think she was hitting your door during that time frame that you believe is about 2 to 5 minutes?
She just kept pounding it. Just kept pounding it and pounding it.
You, so just
She was
more than
screaming.
5, more than 50? Like,
God, it had to be, I don't know, I can't even speculate. I just remember her pounding and pounding and screaming and yelling.
okay. And did you call 911 immediately after?
As soon as
Fired
I
the
found my
shot?
phone.
Okay, how much time do you think after you fired the
A
shot?
few seconds.
So within
I
a
said
minute?
Within a
And
minute,
you
yes.
immediately called 911?
Yes.
Did you call anyone else before?
No.
Did you call anyone else after?
No, I don't think so because you guys were here. I mean, you guys came right away.
Okay.
So,
Okay, So we're just trying to figure out where some of these, we heard that you said the F word and the B word. These are what the kids are.
Okay, we're live, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've been live for a few minutes now. Court just came back to session. So somebody asked, and I appreciate the question, sis. Thank you for the sticker. Appreciate it. Okay, very quick. This is Susan. My bad. This is Susan Lorincz. Susan is on trial for manslaughter, potential 30-year sentence. She killed a neighbor, a lady named Ajike, excuse me, Ajike Owens. They called her AJ. Mama four. They lived in kind of like a community where it was all freestanding houses, but the houses were like duplexes and triplexes, right? So each house may have had like 2 units, 3 units. So it was a whole neighborhood full of them, right? Anyway, long story short, neighborhood full of kids. Seemed like a nice neighborhood, like a happy neighborhood. The kids seem to, when you see a neighborhood, kids outside playing and they're happy, they're not fighting, all, it's positive. That's a good sign anyway to me. Ma'am lived alone in a neighborhood full of kids. Ma'am was very hypersensitive to the kids, their sounds, their activities, watching them. She'd had run-ins with numerous parents and many of the adults in the neighborhood, including AJ. AJ was not the only one. AJ, her and AJ had a couple of interactions, as she stated, 2 to 3, revolving around the kids and her feeling comfortable to cuss the kids out, use racial slurs and epithets, really trying to use very insulting language, because really and truly, I just think she wanted the kids to leave her alone. Now, does that make it right? Absolutely not. But I think she's a disgusting woman, and I bet you she's not using that language in jail. I'm sure she's not calling kids or other females slaves and um N-word and all of that stuff. I know she's not using that, right? But she thought it was okay to do that in her neighborhood. Anyway, long story short, a night happened on an evening that the kids were outside playing. One of AJ's kids left something in the field. What the kid went to go back to retrieve it. As he was in the field, the lady took a damn skate, a roller skate, and threw it at the little boy. And mom comes over ready to have a conversation. And this lady here decides to shoot through a locked door. And she's telling this story that she felt like she was threatened, and AJ she keeps repeating this over and over and over again. I've heard it so many times this morning. I hope that it, like I said, I hope in the other session, I just hope that there's someone to speak for AJ. And I'm not talking from a victim standpoint. I hope the prosecutor, like, there's more than just this evening. This lady lived 35 years who's died and had 4 children to raise. And there's more than just those last 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And this lady keeps telling, she's saying it over and over and over again. Anywho, that's basically, it's a whole Karen situation, but we've already got 2 videos stacked on it. So you're welcome to definitely get into it. We did kind of like an overview last night. So if you want to get into it, watch the video from last night. And we started trial this morning. This is actually day 2 of trial. The first day of trial technically was jury selection day. Okay, we're going to get back into it.
You're saying that.
I definitely dropped F-bombs.
Okay, and what are you saying the F word to?
Take your fucking shirt.
Referring to stuff on the ground or something? Sure. Okay. So Detective Stith has been talking to you about the timeline, okay? And some of the work we've done. Now, this is a picture that I draw. I'm not an artist at all, but when I tell you some of the work we've done, we spoke to all the people over. This is your house, by the way. Okay, this is we'll put an S for you. We spoke to everybody in these buildings. We spoke to them all in these buildings, and We talked to anybody that had cameras that would see different areas. These cameras, they hear things. We're able to hear audio. We're able to hear things like that. And everyone that we interviewed, I pretty much got the same, Detective Stith, I think we all got the same statement from every single person we interviewed. We lined up, well, we didn't line them up. These people were interviewed in different locations. Some of them were interviewed in different buildings, in different places. I interviewed them at different houses, and all these people provided me similar statements, okay? No one that provided these, now these people could hear her talking, okay? Because she was talking loudly. You said that you could hear it through the wall, and I can agree with that, okay? She
They
made
better give her
statements,
some
something
false
to the
statements
effect
and
of,
lie.
why'd you take my kid's iPad? Okay, somebody heard her say that.
I never touched an iPad. I never saw the iPad. I don't
Yeah.
know what this iPad is
A
about.
tablet or something
I
like
had-
that? Did you-
Again, no tablet, no iPad, no electronics at all. It
Sure.
was never there, or at least I never saw it.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Was
what
she,
the hell-
maybe she's wrong, but was she asking you about a tablet or accusing you of something with a tablet or an iPad? I don't know if it's an iPad or a tablet. She could have?
She could've.
Okay, you seem unsure of some of the stuff she's saying through the door. Did she say, you're not really sure if she said that?
She could have said it during her rants.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's saying these things. The thing is everything that we've learned so far, I have not learned of her ever saying to you that she wanted to get into the house. It sounded more like she wanted to talk to you outside of the house.
How do you want to talk to outside the house when you're banging and screaming?
Yeah.
That's not reasonable.
One of the people
and
said that she said, "Come outside."
That's not, I'm sorry,
Come
that's not what?
It's not reasonable and prudent. I mean, you just don't, bang and expect someone to come out. Yeah, I think I'll come outside so
Right.
you can,
Well, I know. I mean,
seriously.
what she learns, what I'm learning, what these people said is that she was saying to come outside. She wanted to confront you about something. She wanted you to come outside. Do you remember her making statements and asking you to come out there and talk to her?
Honestly, don't recall.
Okay, so you don't remember that, and you seem unsure about some of the statements she made about the tablet. No one that we've interviewed so far has made any statements about her saying that she wanted to kill you.
That's what I heard.
Okay. You said you were so in fear and you're shaking. Is your memory affected regarding this incident in some way?
I just remember being terrified that she was banging and screaming and I just remember hearing her say, "I'm going to kill you." Her son, earlier in the night, before I called the police, I don't know how old he is, but he said, "I'm going to make sure you get killed tonight."
Which son? She has two sons.
I know, I remember, it was one of her sons, but he was there, he's like, "I'm gonna make sure you get killed, I'm gonna make sure that, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Has this person ever shown you a weapon or anything like that?
No, but, I mean, the little kid said it, and then all of a sudden his mom's coming over, and she's banging and screaming, and
Now I asked you this earlier, you said you can't see out there, but you've only seen her a few times.
Mhm.
What means does she have to harm you through the wall?
like I said, she was banging so much, everything was shaking and moving,
Now that house,
which I couldn't believe because it's a cement block house.
that was my next question. So it's a cement block house and the door, the deadbolt was activated, right?
The deadbolt was
Okay.
activated, right? And you
I
just didn't
don't-
have the chain lock?
I was gonna say, I remember I didn't have the chain, I'm not quite sure if I had the deadbolt on or not.
Okay. I believe the last time we talked, you said you had the deadbolt, but you didn't want to get back close to the door to do the chain, is from what I recall. And you said you had the extra long deadbolt just installed, what was it, recently?
Charles did it.
Okay, Charles.
So that's what the deadbolt's activated, the door's closed, it's a block house. I'm just trying to understand what made you so in fear of this woman if you have these things between you.
When we had spoken previously on the other time when she screamed at me and I finally acquiesced, I said, "Whatever you want, I'm so sorry." She followed me, a foot behind me, up until I went into the house. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, she gave me the creeps.
What happened during that incident where she followed you? What was the conversation?
She
that
said, "Oh,
time?
you called my kids, I think a nigger and a slave or something stupid like that." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize." And I finally said, "I'm gonna leave this alone. I don't need, to get killed in the street."
Did she
So,
tell you if she had recordings of you saying that?
I have
Or
no
like
idea.
one of the kids?
I have no idea.
But you apologized and she continued to follow you anyway?
Yeah, she followed me anyway.
How far did Did she follow you?
like right up to where I go in by the wood. I
By
mean,
the fence
yeah.
that, okay. And then what happened after that?
She finally just went away.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
That was like a month or two ago.
Okay. And was that an incident dealing with, she had the dog and the kids were over there?
No,
No, that was something different?
was something different.
Okay, okay. And I think that was, I want to say, was it April? Does that sound right with you had called because, again, the kids were over there, the dog was over there? Does that sound about right? Okay, but that was a different
Yeah, it
incident
was
than
a
what you're
different
talking,
incident,
okay.
yes.
And where were you at when you had that conversation where she started following you? Where were you?
I was in the street.
Okay. Like by the mailboxes or
No, I was close to her driveway.
close to her driveway? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did she make any threats of physical violence to you then?
I honestly can't remember.
She was following you and that made you feel creepy, right? Or creeped you out, I think is the word you said?
Yeah.
Okay, but there wasn't any threats of physical violence then. And you said,
But why would you, if the conversation is over, why would you still pursue someone? I mean, to me.
Was she still saying things? Was she still?
No,
talking?
she just
She
followed
just
me,
followed
and I just felt like, at any point in time, she could knock me down and
Mhm.
do something. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't want to tangle with her anymore.
and was it only her kid that you called a slave, or was there other kids in the
I
neighborhood?
never called anyone a slave.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Never.
thought you said
No,
sorry for it.
I said I'm sorry for it because I didn't know how else to diffuse the situation.
Okay, so you told her that you did say that, but you're saying that you were saying it to diffuse the situation?
Yes. Absolutely.
So have you ever called any of those kids?
So, Susan, I'm looking at this from the outside here, and this really is not adding up to me. You used the word reasonable and prudent earlier. That's an interesting series of words to use. That's like a series of words that we use as law enforcement officers when we try to look at things. And there's a big jump here that you're making logically that I can't seem to make the jump. I'm having a really hard time getting there. You've known this woman for 1.5 to 2 years. Your only communications were 2 to 3 times. The dog's pooping, and then there was another time where you called her, you said, I'm sorry about calling your kids some names, and she followed behind you. You thought that was creepy. She's never threatened you. She's never displayed a firearm towards you. She starts yelling on your patio area, banging hard on your door, which your door is locked, and then you're scared. Now you're saying that you're scared, which, okay, I can get to that. I can get to that point that you're scared there's someone knocking on your door.
No, it wasn't knocking, it was pounding.
Pounding. There's someone pounding on your
the
door. Right. There's someone pounding on your door. They're pounding on your door, and I can't get to the point where pounding on the door leads to you being hurt or killed. I can't get
Because I
how
thought
we
she
get
was gonna
there.
break the door down. The door, you could see that it was well repaired and re-repaired and all that crap like that, so I never felt that door was secure.
You have an extended deadbolt, and you've never been in any kind of violent situation where someone's kicked in your door or like Kool-Aid Man through your entire wall. There has not been that situation. So I'm trying to do the reasonable and prudent. I'm trying to come into your shoes
Understood.
there, and I'm having a hard jump there because describe to me, AJ, what does she look like?
Tall black woman, heavy set,
Okay. Does she have a very muscular? You've only known her for 1.5 years. You only had so many communications. I mean, is she like a muscular person that's able to, like, I don't know, do extreme feats of strength? Does she weight train in her front yard? Help me understand
No,
this.
I don't.
I that's what I'm trying. I'm having a hard time with
He's
this.
not being facetious, he's just trying to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah, I'm
how
just-
we got from the point of someone.
And I don't see how that is entire. Were you on alcohol or anything like? I gotta ask these questions. Were there anything in your mind that would impair yourself in your judgments?
I took Belbuca earlier in the day.
What is that?
It's, it was for my back.
Okay, is that a narcotic?
Yes.
I'm not a muscle relax. I'm guessing here.
No,
I'm
it's a pain reliever.
okay, it's a pain reliever.
Mm.
And does that have like something on the bottle that it would?
It's a film.
Okay, does that like don't use motor vehicles or something like that? What does it do to you? How does it make you feel?
It just makes me sleepy.
It's
Okay.
called, what is it called?
Belbuca,
Belbuca.
Belbuca.
Does that have to do with your artery issue in your kidney?
No, I had a car wreck. It was, so I had a fusion on my lower back. I'm sorry, fusion in my neck and then laminectomy in my lower back.
Mhm.
And I've got this thing that goes backwards. So I
Okay.
have some issues.
Okay,
And I have a torn rotator cuff.
okay. And do you have issues with any kind of previous, from the car accident, I have to ask, a head injury which would impair your memory or affect your memory or anything like that?
Don't remember. I think I hit my head on the steering wheel in the accident.
Okay. Do you suffer time and spatial memory issues where you can't remember a certain amounts of time and things like that? And the reason that I ask that is you have indicated that this was somewhere between like 5 to 10 minutes or something. Am I getting that right, Detective Stiff? Okay. From the cameras that we've looked at in the area here, this incident did not last for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, from the people that we spoke to, there's aspects of this that I can agree about. She's talking loud. She's banging on that door. We're going to agree with that. But the actual number of knocks, you did 3 knocks, and then you said there was a pause.
I never said 3.
Well, you said bang, 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 and then she stopped, which I counted 3. Now,
Okay.
if there was something different, you can tell me. I'm just,
Okay.
I was remembering earlier. You said bang, bang, bang. There was 3. Then she stopped, and then she continued to, and then what happened.
Mhm.
Nothing has led me to believe as an investigator that it was like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay, maybe it just seemed like it was longer.
Okay.
Probably because, the adrenaline rush and just getting so upset.
Sure. Whenever adrenaline comes in, it can make things seem like they stretch out. From some of the other statements, we've got some of the things that we've learned. It sounds more like there was 3 knocks and then there was 3 more and then she was shot. It sounds like this was very quick. It sounds like this was like within a span of less than 20 seconds is what I would say. Is it possible that your time is off on this?
Could be.
Okay.
Because to me, it felt like forever.
Okay.
So,
So if this is like what's being described as a 20-second, this is a brief encounter. It's a brief encounter with loud banging, with loud yelling. The statements that some of the statements that you're saying occurred, like I'm going to kill you and those kind of threats. No one else has heard you. No one else has heard her make those statements.
okay.
Okay, in your head. Are you not sure about some of the things we've talked about today? Regarding some of the things you're saying that you heard, is it possible she never threatened you at all?
Oh, I swear to God, I thought she said, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that's why I just panicked. As soon as those words came out of her mouth, I was like, Jesus Christ, she's going to kill me.
Okay. And how did you imagine yourself being killed? Remembering that there's that block wall, that door, how was she going to be able to do that? What makes you think that she was able to do
She
that?
was still pounding, but that she could have come right through that glass wall. The glass door.
Well, we
There-
talked
there's-
about pounding on the door. Did she ever pound on the glass wall? Is it a window or wall? Help me.
It's doors. It's sliders.
Glass sliding door.
Yeah.
She pound on that?
She may have, I don't know. All I kept thinking is she's going to gain entrance, she's going to kill me.
And that's why I asked you earlier if you recalled, if she tried to, was that door locked, the sliding glass door? Does that say, do you have like anything?
I had, I think there was a wood piece.
In
there.
the slider?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't recall if she tried that door?
I just remember lots of pounding.
Lots of pounding.
Just, to me, it was just an enormous amount of pounding, screaming, yelling, and, I felt like she was going to come through that door.
And I think Detective Pender touched on it, like in your head, what, during the panic, during all these thoughts, what did you feel that was going to happen?
And she's going to come in there and beat the shit out of me until I was dead.
Okay.
That's what I felt. I don't understand why she came over my house. If there was all these issues and problems, why didn't you just call somebody? That's, to me, that's what you do if you're normal. That's a normal thing to do. If something happens to me, I call the police, like, okay, the kids are being run or she's banging and, but when I couldn't find my phone and everything, I was just like, shit. I honestly, I felt she was going to kill me.
Okay, so during that time, you had hung up with 911, you still estimate approximately 10 minutes before the banging started.
Yes.
And then you saying anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes or longer that the banging and the yelling lasted. However, as Detective Pender mentioned, we've reviewed video.
Mhm.
We've talked to multiple people out there who all kind of give the similar, everybody's perspective is different. And that's why I asked you this same question a couple of times, because people's perspectives, we could be both looking at the same thing.
Mhm.
And later on, you asked me us the same question, we have different reactions, different answers, because we focus on different things, we remember different things. That's why everybody's unique. And that's just the way it is. But to be that similar in some of the specifics of what we're really looking at, we're talking about a very tight, a much more tighter time frame of this incident that happened at your front door before that shot was fired. So is that possible? Is that feasible that it was a shorter time
Possible.
frame?
To
and-
me, it felt, I mean, I'm giving you what I felt and what I thought it was,
Okay.
you know.
All right. Now that you're out of the moment,
Mhm.
I mean, do you think that she could somehow get through that wall now that you're out, now that you're not in the house anymore, and that
I
you?
still feel that fear. I just still feel she was coming at me. I'm sorry. It's what I feel.
Okay.
I've just, it's been playing in my head over and over again, and I just kept thinking of that and how terrified I was.
Was your goal to shoot and kill her?
No.
What was your goal?
To shoot and hopefully, you know, she'd hear the shot and dissipate.
But you took aim at the door, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And the goal was to strike the door and to dissipate it. I'm having a really hard time making this jump here, that this unarmed person on the other side of the wall, is somehow gonna get into your house and kill you. I'm just really having a hard time getting there. Some of these doors open inwards, outwards. I don't know which way your door opens. Which way does it open? It opens outward?
I think it opens out.
Okay. So
It
opens inwards.
it opens inwards. Okay. So
Mhm.
I'm really having a hard time understanding, like, how if you could go back in time, would you not do what you did? Would you take it back and I don't know, wait however long it took for the police to get there? I'm trying to understand that. Do you feel like you did something wrong here?
I did what I felt I had to. I honestly thought she was gonna kill me. I mean, that's all I felt. I just felt that terror. I mean, it was sheer terror.
So I went out to the house that
Mhm.
morning, you know, when I met you out there. First of all, I looked at the door, we processed the door just to see what areas might have been
Mhm.
touched by AJ. I looked at the door frame where it had been repaired. It looked like there was a type of putty or something
Yeah.
used where the wood frame had been separated. I examined the deadbolt lock, the strike plates
Mhm.
were in there pretty fastened, pretty securely. The bottom lock, just the doorknob lock. And even with the door closed, I stood on the outside. There were no indentations, no dents in the door anywhere that I could see. I'm not trying to take away the fears of being scared and everything, because I think that is a legitimate, scary situation to be put in. But to justify to go from being scared to a point where you're taking deadly force on someone who's standing on the other side of the door and you don't even know where you're shooting at. That's a big jump, and I think that's where Detective Henders.
It could have been one of the kids standing there or something.
But it was her standing there. I mean, I heard her voice.
Sure, but some people don't talk. They're
But-
more quiet. So you've never had a break-in there before, right?
No.
Okay, no break-ins there. There's the rod in the track. Did you have? I know that you still spoke to this woman 2 or 3 times before. Did you speak to her earlier that day on Friday?
No.
Okay, so you didn't talk to her earlier that day, Friday. There wasn't. Did you have any conflicts with anybody in particular on Friday at all?
Just the kids when they're, well, it wasn't a conflict. I just told them, come on, stop trespassing, you know, move along, take it. The kids kept putting things out. They had marbles by my truck.
Uh-huh.
They put their skates out. I tripped over the skate one morning that I had to leave very early, and I'm like, crap. And I'm like, stop leaving your freaking toys here. You know, I'm not the most stable person, you know, with my knees and stuff like that too. When I'm walking, if I fall again, you know, who the hell knows what's gonna happen between my back and my knees and, you know, the other injury. And I don't understand why they just keep leaving their crap there. And I'm like, it's.
That sounds frustrating.
It's extraordinarily frustrating.
You said there was a skate. Was there something that happened with the skate on Friday?
When the kids were there, yeah, keep leaving the skates really close to the house. I'm like, stop already, because when you go around and you do stuff and you're bringing packages in, sometimes I bring the truck up. I'm like, I don't want to walk over your skates and shit. I'm like, pick your damn shit up.
Uh-huh.
So.
So where were those skates when you picked them up?
I want to say they were maybe 5-6 feet of the sidewalk.
On the grass?
Yes.
Okay. And you took some photograph, or took a photograph of that with your phone?
Yes.
Okay. And there was a video at some point, it looked like you were taking a picture or a video through the screen from you being inside
Yes.
to them outside? Because it looked like there was a bunch of them kind of further out in the field, but there was a lot of kids playing out there, and I
It was
guess.
the screaming. You heard how much
Yeah.
they were screaming over the TV.
Okay, so when you went out there and one of AJ's kids was out there, and this is around the time frame where you threw the
Mhm.
skates out into the yard or something
Yes.
like that. But this is also, so that was what was reported to us from a few people.
Yes.
But also during that time frame was where that tablet situation came up. So is
I
there any
don't know
reason?
what this tablet thing is.
It's like
What-
a Amazon tablet, electronic tablet.
I never
you know?
saw the tablet, never. He kept saying, where's my tablet? Where's my tablet? I had no
Oh, so he
tablet.
did ask you
Oh, yeah.
about it, but you
Yeah.
didn't have it.
Of course not.
So you never.
I
moved
never
or
saw
picked
it,
up?
never picked it, never touched it up, nothing.
Why would he make that part up
I have no idea.
because he said, and it really doesn't change,
Doesn't change.
it doesn't change anything. I'm just trying to understand. He said that he was going to the basketball courts after they played in the field. He's like, I forgot my tablet, and he comes
Mhm.
over and he sees you holding it, and he
I
says,
never,
put
no,
it down,
No,
and you kind of tossed it down, and then that's when you threw the skates, and one of them hit him in the toe or the foot
No.
or something like that.
no, because they were standing here and I threw it with my left hand.
Okay.
I made sure that I just threw them over to the other side.
And
Never
that's when
touched
you
each
told
other.
him to fetch or something? You
Yes.
said you told him to
I
fetch
said, you
it?
can go fetch it over there now.
Okay.
Because he said, give me my skates.
Mhm.
Give me your skates. I'm like, here, go get them.
You already had them in your hand at that point?
I
He said,
think
give them
so.
to you? Okay. What were you gonna do with them?
Just throw them on the other side. Just get them away.
So you don't remember the tablet or anything
It
like
was
that?
never I never saw a tablet, never touched a tablet, never, I don't know where the hell the tablet came from. So I have no idea.
And then the situation with the umbrella, I know we had talked about it a little bit before, but, do you remember who that was out there when, was that when, excuse me, was that when the older, AJ's older came over? What was he saying to you?
That's when he has said, I said, you guys need to leave. He said, I don't need to leave. I can go anywhere I want. It's, I have, I forget what the hell he said. Just something to the effect that I have no limits where I can go. I'm like, okay.
Okay, but he wasn't the one that was there when you tossed the roller skates into the yard? It was the other child?
It
Or do
should
you
have been
remember?
both boys.
Were they both there with the
I'm
roller
gonna say,
skate thing?
yeah,
Okay, so when you came out, the umbrella that was behind your door, was that the
Mhm.
one?
yes.
Okay, and what exactly happened with that? Because that's another one of those things where we were talking to
Mhm.
people who were right there,
Mhm.
kind of, they already heard some yelling
Mhm.
and back and forth, so they're kind of watching and
I made the trouble with my hands. So,
swinging the umbrella.
yeah, just, come on, guys, leave, like
Okay.
gesturing. So
How
I
far
just-
away were they when you were doing this?
Oh
And
my
where do you
gosh.
think you were at?
I remember being on the sidewalk, and then they were at least 5-7 feet away from me. They
Okay.
weren't even close.
What did they do when you were swinging it around?
Nothing.
They didn't do anything?
No, there was no reaction.
They didn't say anything? They didn't back away?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay.
It didn't rain on Friday. Why did you have an
I
umbrella?
thought it was raining. We had precip, and I thought when the kids got quiet that it rained finally and they went home.
So that's why you had the umbrella out?
Yes.
So it sounds like there's a lot of things going on with the kids that day. It sounds like you're taking videos. It sounds like the skates are in the way. You had to throw those because she says, give me the skates. You throw the skates, and then you're swinging the umbrella because they're not getting away. There's a lot going on with the kids. Is that
Yes.
accurate?
Yes.
Are the kids yelling that day?
Oh, they were screaming and yelling.
Screaming and yelling? Okay. It sounds like there was things going on with them, and then one of the kids' moms comes up to your house and knocks on the door. Is that right? Did she say what she was knocking on the door about? I don't remember if we covered that.
With AJ? Yes.
Yes, AJ. Was it about the umbrella, the skates, or something different? Because
I
there's a
want to
lot.
speak to you because you're talking to my sons. I don't like the way you're talking to my sons.
Okay, so she bangs on the door and she wants to, because we've talked about all the things that happened that day. She's banging on the door and she wants to address you regarding how you're talking to her sons.
Yes.
And there's already been that prior incident in the 2 or 3 times that you guys met, and one of those times it was you're talking to her sons and you're saying like racial things like that, racial slurs. She said that you did.
She said that I
Okay.
did.
So it sounds like she has a reason that she wants to talk to you, and she's banging on your door.
Mhm.
Okay.
But she's enraged, she's screaming, she's not acting to me what would be like a normal, average, everyday, reasonable person. I mean, to me, that was someone who was really angry.
You're for certain that when you went to retrieve your gun, that's where you keep it in that trash can, that's where it was at? I'm sorry, did you remember
No,
what you were
I-
thinking about? I didn't ask you this before, but I saw inside you have like, I saw a home office set up.
Mhm.
Do you work from home?
Yes.
You do? So you're all pretty much, you're always there and you're always
Yes.
having to be
Mhm.
susceptible to whatever they
Exactly.
do.
Look, I kind of want to go through my notes real quick,
Mhm.
make sure that we covered everything. We covered a lot of things. Can I get you another water or anything while I go through this? Yeah, let me go through the notes and make sure we didn't miss anything here. And we'll be right back in.
Is there anything else that you need right now? Use the restroom or anything? Use the restroom? Okay, give me just one second. Make sure the
Walking down the hall,
restroom's
so you don't
clear.
get lost. Okie dokie.
We go to the bathroom?
Yes.
All right, so while we were in there going over everything and my supervisor came in, he's actually kind of been listening a little. And something that caught my ear, like when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned the words, and I asked you to repeat it because I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You had mentioned terminology like reasonable and prudent in reference to how AJ was acting at your door while she was trespassing and everything. Where did that come from, that terminology? Is that
Watching TV.
watching TV? Okay. Like documentary stuff or like what?
Probably just crime shows and stuff.
Crime shows? Okay. And I have to ask you this, is, have you done any research on like the laws as far as like in Florida, as far as self-defense and things like that?
I looked at it today.
You looked at it
Was that when
today?
I was on Facebook? Just some things that, they had it up on Facebook.
Describe that. What did you, specifically, what you were reading about and learning about?
Just, they said self-defense, and I'm trying to think of what else I looked at today. So much crap, mostly emails. But I just remember saying self-defense, and there was a bunch of lawyers and stuff like that.
So prior to today, even the last time that you and I spoke on very early Saturday morning, you had used some of that same kind of terminology in describing the situation that occurred at your front door. Prior to today, had you ever done any kind of research like that? And before I ask, let me just say, if we were to look through everything in your phone or your home desktop computer, is there anything kind of research on your internet history that would show that you've done research on like self-defense? Or have you ever heard of the term stand your ground?
Yes.
Have you ever done any kind of research on that?
Yes, when it was mentioned on some guy shot someone at a convenience store, and they said stand your ground.
Was that like a Florida situation? Because I
Yes.
know every state
Yes.
has kind of different laws.
I think it was
and-
Florida. I think it was Florida.
Okay. And when was that?
Years ago.
It was years
Yeah,
ago?
that was a years ago thing.
So nothing recent that would be on like your internet browser history? and-
I just looked it up today.
Right, but I mean, other than, basically before this incident occurred at your door, but we're not talking about like a couple years ago. We're talking about within the last few months, would there be, because your internet browser, even if you delete it or you go on
Mhm.
private browser, if, you know, we take a look at those things, because we did go through your phone, the judge ordered,
Yes.
signed an order for us to be able to do that. So if that were the case, if we were just to look through that, would there show anything that you were looking up, stand your ground or self-defense laws in Florida on the internet?
I don't know, I look up tons of stuff.
Is it a possibility that you looked that up?
Could have been, I don't know.
Okay.
I look up, I
And-
just,
and the
when I
reason
read
I ask is
articles,
I'm
I
trying
just
to-
go and see why the laws were, you know, so I want to know why, like, if they have an article, what happened in the situation, what, you know.
Well, Susan, I think you know the reason why I'm asking that question. You're smart, okay? And the reason is,
Oh, hell no, absolutely. I know what you're thinking. Did I look up the laws so I could do something? No, absolutely
this is not a
No.
situation where you set something up to,
No.
because you were
No.
tired of this person, you were
No.
tired of the
No.
situation that they put you
Absolutely
in.
no.
Okay.
Sorry, no.
Okay, so while I was out there going through the notes and everything, I went through, so when someone calls 911, as soon as that call goes to our communication center, it logs it, gives us a timestamp. Hour, minute, second, from the very first time that call was received to the time that it's disconnected, okay? And that's for every single time someone calls. So the first time when you called 911, talking about the boys out there trespassing and things of that. So that call started at 8:54 p.m.
Mhm.
Does that sound about right?
Yes, I really wasn't looking at the clock
Okay.
or anything. I just remember calling.
That's what time it says on our call center. And that call lasted for 5 minutes and it disconnected.
Okay,
At 8:59, deputies are on the way,
okay.
okay? Now you estimated that it was approximately 10 minutes after you disconnected
Mhm.
until the AJ started pounding on your door, is that correct? Is that
Yes.
what, okay. So the second 911 call where you called, lady was banging on my door, I shot her through the door. That call came into our call center, it was received at 9:01, which is 2 minutes after you hung up with the communication center the first time. So that's
Okay.
2 minutes that all these things that you say occurred happened at your front door. From
Okay.
pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding, I'm gonna kill you, all these things. Within 2 minutes, she showed up at
Mhm.
your front door and did all these things to the time that you pulled the trigger, went and found your phone and then called 911. So, and that's why I'm trying to get,
To me, it seemed like that amount of time. That's why I thought it was that amount of time.
well, so clearly we've established that that was not true,
Okay,
that that's not the
understood.
case, but that's what you felt it was.
It
So
felt
you
like
also told me that that's what you heard, that she was
Yes.
going to kill you. Is it possible that she did not say that and that's what you heard or you believed, just like you believed it was 10 minutes between those calls?
I just thought she said, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that's what I heard. That's why I was so in fear of my life. I was like, Jesus Christ, she's pounding on my door. She's gonna break in. She's gonna kill me.
But is it a possibility, if you believe that there was 10 minutes to 15 minutes, adding in 10 minutes before it started, and then approximately another 5 minutes on top of that, that you believe that 2 minutes was 15 minutes? Was it a possibility that maybe you thought you heard that, but it wasn't that what she actually said?
I have no idea. That's what I heard.
Okay.
I'm telling you what I heard.
So
But I can tell you right now, what we've learned, what we've discussed all leading up to this, it doesn't make any sense. So this is your opportunity to actually tell us that something that does make sense. I'm not gonna hold it against you. I'm not gonna get mad. But whenever AJ was coming over that evening, what happened? What happened? Bring me to that moment when you had the gun in your hand. What were you thinking?
All I wanted her was to go away. I just, you know, I felt she was gonna come through that door and kill me. I'm sorry, that's what I felt. I just felt she was gonna come through the door and kill me. It was a tremendous fear. I mean,
Did you
it's
feel
terrible.
bad for what happened
Oh, Christ, yes.
for you? Because the first time that we talked, there was a point where I informed you that AJ had passed away. And I wasn't sure if you've been aware of that or not. I know they transported her in an ambulance
Yes.
from there.
And I saw that he was in CPR.
So when I informed you that, you showed emotion. You showed what appeared to me to be at least somewhat of remorse for what had happened. So do you feel bad for what had happened? Do
Absolutely.
you feel bad for the children?
Christ, yes.
So, and I think, Detective Pender we're trying to give you the opportunity to try to explain some of these discrepancies in the story, the things that don't really add up or make sense. And you maintaining that you were in fear for your life.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like at this point, today you really haven't, and I'm not judging you, you know, everybody processes things differently. So I understand that. But you haven't really seemed remorseful for today, at least, for what has happened.
Oh, God. It just makes me sick. I don't know, I can't take it back. It's transpired, it's in the past, I don't know what the hell to do. It's just probably be shutting down again.
Do you think that's a trauma response or something? I know you said you had gone through a lot of
Probably
flat
because I
affect and
just,
things like that
I
in
don't know
the
what the
past
hell,
too.
I mean, it's a horrible situation. And inner conflict is horrible because, you know, it goes against my faith, I broke the commandment, I just did all, I feel horrible for what I did.
Okay, so looking back on it now, and do you think that she was actually going to get through that door? I mean, be honest
honestly,
with us,
God,
because
thought she was coming through the door. And as God is my witness, I thought she was gonna come through that door. I'm sorry, it's just what I felt.
so, I mean, at this point, like, we've talked to you, we've talked to a lot of people and gone through the evidence. Okay, and I think you know that wasn't reasonable what you
I
did.
felt so terrified. I just felt so terrified, you know, here she comes again, you know, again, she's screaming, she's yelling, she's acting unreasonable.
I think you know that there were already deputies on the way.
There was times I called and the deputies never showed up.
I understand. It's been
So-
2 minutes, so
To
you,
me, it wasn't 2 minutes, to me, it was much longer. In my mind, it felt like.
but there's only one reality where time
Okay.
exists. And I understand perception of time can be different for different people. But in the reality of things, you had just disconnected. Within 2 minutes, a shot was fired through that door. There was that much that transpired within that 2 minutes where statements were made. I want to know why you're throwing stuff at my kids, or whatever it was she was saying. And then shot fired and she's down, and then another 911 call comes in. So, I mean, at this point, we've discussed it with the state, and they are on the same terms as far as charging you with a manslaughter, okay?
Okay. I don't know what else to say. I was in fear for my life. I mean, honest to God, I just feared that she was gonna come through that door. I'm sorry, that's how I felt. I can't change the way I felt. I mean, it was sheer terror on my part. I mean, honest to God, I was shaking.
So one of the things I want to ask, because at the point where I did let you know and I informed you, you know, what had ultimately happened to AJ after that shooting, you know, that she had passed away, and obviously she has 4 kids, and you know, I was observing the interviews that were conducted with them and the emotions that they were going through. And you shared some of those same emotions at points through the conversations that we had. And I just want to, like, obviously I can't let you talk to them or give a message to them and like face to face. But I would like, if it's up to you, if you would like to write them a letter or something to kind of, you know, whatever's on your mind or in your heart.
You don't have to. We're just going to leave a notepad and a pen in the room. Obviously, we have some paperwork to do, so we're going to have to step out to do that, and obviously talk to our boss. We'll just I offer it to everybody that we can't let them talk to. So it's just something we do.
So if you'd like to do that,
We're going to get that paperwork going, like you said.
but that's where the state's at right now. That's where we're at. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in just a minute, okay? But if you'd like to write on something, that's right there, okay?
All right, we're gonna head over there in a second. Can you go ahead and stand up? I need to get a picture of you before we walk you over. Stand up for me real fast. All right, can you take a step back? This is not a good camera for, all right. All right, hang on one second. I'm gonna go take the stick. We're gonna head on over there, okay?
All right, Susan? All right, we're gonna have you go with this deputy here.
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
No what?
I can't.
What's wrong? What's going on?
I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
May I look at transfer?
Yes, sir.
For the record, I have all 8 transcripts from the jury. In the video, in the interview that we just watched, you mentioning looking at some video. None of the video you looked at had any footage of the shooting or what happened right before the shooting, correct?
Correct.
Also in the video towards the end, the interview, and towards the end, we saw you give the defendant an opportunity to write something down on paper.
Yes, sir.
Did she do that?
Yes, she did.
Do you remember what she wrote?
No, I wouldn't want to quote without a copy of it. I'm not sure.
Show you a copy of the letter. Can you let the jury know what she wrote?
I am so sorry for your loss. I never meant to kill your mother. I was terrified your mom was going to kill me. I shot out of fear.
I want to direct your attention to June 19th of 2023. Did you respond back to the defendant's residence?
Yes, I did.
Why'd you go there?
To collect the front door for evidence.
And had you obtained a search warrant signed by a judge that gave you permission to go and take that door?
Yes, I did.
Did you contact the landlord, Charles Gabbard, to let him know what you were going to do?
Yes, sir.
And prior to arriving there, prior to getting to her residence, did you stop anywhere and pick anything up?
Yes, prior to responding, I spoke with Mr. Gabbard, got the specifications of that front door that was currently there, and went to the hardware store, purchased the hardware and a new door to replace the one we were taking.
So explain to the jury what happened when you arrived.
When I arrived, me and my Sergeant Bartlett, removed the front door. It appeared it was the same door, and placed the new door we had purchased back on the hinges.
When you went back to the residence to take the door, were you still able to see the location of the original bullet hole that you saw on June 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Had it been repaired in any way?
Yes, sir.
How? Could you tell just by what it looked like?
It had been spackled over the front outside of the door.
But the impression was still visible?
Yes, sir.
And was it in the same location as when you saw it on June
Yes.
2nd?
Yes, sir.
Except for that repair of the gunshot, of the bullet hole, was the door in the same or substantially the same condition as when you saw it June 2nd?
It appeared it had been sanded, but otherwise in the same condition, yes.
Your Honor, it might be easier, may I ask the witness step down to come and look at the piece of evidence before I move it?
Sure.
Would you mind stepping down?
Has the defense had a chance to see it?
I have, Judge.
Okay.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit W for identification. You take a look at that person, tell me if you recognize. Do you recognize it? Do you see your initials on the evidence tape and everything? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, please cut away the packaging and look inside of it. What is it?
It's the door that I removed from the hinges.
Is it the same, substantially the same condition as when you removed it on, I believe, June 19th, 2023?
Yes, sir.
This time, state would move states W into evidence as states 21.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Sure. Yes, sir. Overrule the objection, it be in evidence as states number 21. Yes, sir.
Can you step down for me again? You can kind of continue just removing the paper. Please. There was a citation jury on the inside door. You see the repair done of the bullet hole. Yes. I got one more, Your Honor.
Sure.
Thank you, Detective. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We move it. Do you need this out here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem.
So you have the scissors for one side, take off, so it won't be so loud.
Sorry about that.
The exterior door frame of Miss
Hold
Lorincz.
on. Let her finish that. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, let's deal with the door first.
Okay.
So you can. And are there parts of this door that seem like they've been painted over in some capacity?
Yes, sir.
May I approach you?
Yes, sir.
Detective, I'd like to show you a remark as defense exhibit C. Is this a copy of the letter that Ms. Lawrence wrote to the children of Ms. Owens?
Yes, sir.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the letter that she wrote?
Yes, it is.
The exterior door frame of Ms. Lawrence's door to her residence did have damage. Is that right, when you went to see it?
Yes, sir.
The damage did not appear recent, right?
Correct.
The damage appears to have been repaired with some putty where the wood separated, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you entered Ms. Lawrence's kitchen area, when you went to the scene, you observed a single spent shell casing on her kitchen counter, right next to the stove, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you also conducted research for prior calls for services between Ms. Owens and Ms. Lawrence, is that right?
Correct.
And you found prior calls for service dating back over a year placed by Ms. Lawrence, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, now, you reviewed the transcripts from the two interviews that you conducted with Ms. Lawrence on June 3rd of 2023 and June 6th of 2023, right?
Yes, I did.
And you reviewed it for accuracy purposes to make sure that they were consistent with what Ms. Lawrence told you on those two different dates, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, both interviews are pretty long, right?
Yes, they are.
So you obviously didn't memorize everything that you said in all of them, correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to ask you several questions about the two conversations that you had with Ms. Lawrence. There may be some things that you don't remember, correct?
That's correct.
So would having a copy of those transcripts help you refresh your recollection? Should there be a question that I ask that you don't remember?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, sir.
This is the June 3rd transcript, and this is the June 6th. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Just leave them there unless you need them. Okay. Just leave them there until you need them. Thank you.
And what I'm going to do, just to make this quicker, when I ask the question, I'm going to refer like what area in the transcript it's at in case you need to refresh your recollection, okay?
Yes, sir.
We'll start off with June 3rd. Now, on June 3rd, another detective was with you. His name is Detective Kip Peterson, right?
Correct.
And he was with you throughout the interview with Ms. Lawrence?
On and off.
On
He
and off,
left
okay.
the room a couple times. Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lawrence told you that her birthday was July 23rd of 1964, is that right?
From what I recall, it's correct.
Okay. And at that point, that would make her 58, almost 59 years old, right?
I'm not great at math, but that sounds about right.
Does that sound all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir. That's reasonable. That's reasonable. I wouldn't be able to remember that on the spot, too, so I hear you. And obviously, Ms. Lawrence told you that she had problems with the deceased Ms. Owens in the past, right?
That's correct.
And she told you that Ms. Owens had actually thrown a no trespassing sign at her, correct?
That's correct.
And she told you that she had some medical problems, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Including that her neck was fused, right?
Yes, sir.
And she told you, Ms. Lawrence told you that Ms. Owens came to her door and just started banging so hard that everything starts shaking. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lawrence tells you that she tells Ms. Owens that she really needs to leave. And then Ms. Owens tells her that I'm going to fucking kill you as she continues to bang away. Is that right?
And we're speaking about the night of the incident. On
Yes,
the second.
yes, sir.
She,
Then-
yes, sir. She did tell me that.
Okay. And Ms. Lawrence told you that Ms. Owens banged so hard it looked like her door was going to fly off. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lawrence told you that she really thought Ms. Owens was going to kill her, correct?
Yes, sir. She did.
Ms. Lawrence told you that she really feared for her life. Is that right?
She did tell me that.
And
Yes.
she told you about her health condition that she had regarding an aneurysm on her left kidney artery where she's supposed to stay calm because of it. Is that right?
She did. Yes.
She told you all this was going on while all this was going on in regard to Ms. Owens banging on her door and pounding her door that she was shaking, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you that Ms. Owens was trying to come inside, correct?
She said that she believed that Miss Owens was trying to come inside the house.
And Susan told you that Ms. Owens was trying to push in the door. Is that right?
So I don't remember her saying that. I just remember her using the terminology as banging on the door.
Okay. If you'd like to refresh your recollection, that is on the June 3rd transcript on page 13, lines 6 through 7. page 13, June 3rd transcript. And that's line 6 through 7. And just review that, and then I'll ask the question.
Yes, sir.
Susan, Miss Lawrence told you that Miss Owens was trying to push in the door. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, she's telling Miss Owens to leave, right?
Yes, sir.
And then she says, Miss Owens keeps telling her, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to fucking kill you. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's what she told me.
Miss Lawrence also told you, as all this was going on, that she was scared and terrified. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lawrence told you that Miss Owens was screaming for all she was worth, right?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Lawrence told you she was asking Miss Owens to stop, but she didn't, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you informed her that Miss Owens had passed away, that is when she started weeping and crying. Is that right?
That's correct.
And Miss Lawrence told you that all of this occurred because Miss Owens was pounding on her door and she thought she was going to come in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lawrence told you that Miss Owens was pounding and pounding on the door and scaring the shit out of her. Is that right?
That's correct.
And she told you that she was an absolute terror. Is that right?
She did tell me that, yes.
Miss Lawrence told you that Miss Owens was violent, right?
I don't recall her saying that she was violent.
If you go to page 30 of that first June 3rd deposition,
Yes,
line 23, sir. And take your time, please. Page 30, line 23.
Okay.
She told you that Miss Owens was violent, right?
Yes, sir.
And she told you that she was fearful for her life, right?
She did say that, yes.
Ms. Lawrence told you that the door was broken, the whole side panel, even before this incident occurred, correct?
She did.
And she told you that as Miss Owens was pounding on the doors, she was pounding it so hard that everything was just rattling, and it sounded like a horse kick. It was so loud, right?
She did say it was rattling, yes, sir.
And she told you it sounded like a horse kick, right?
I don't recall that.
Page 32 of that same transcript, lines 19 through 21, if you'd like to refresh your recollection.
You said page
Page-
32, I'm sorry?
Yes, sir, page 32, lines 19 through 21.
Yes, all right.
She told you that she felt like she was in mortal danger, correct?
She did, yes, sir.
She told you that she usually has a chair propped up against the door, but she didn't have it that night or have the chain on her door either, right?
Correct.
She told you that as Miss Owens is pounding on that door, that you could actually physically see her door moving. Is that right?
She did say that, yes.
She told you that she absolutely feared for her life and that it was either me or her, right?
She did tell me that, yes.
She told you that it was dark outside. Her lights were off and Miss Owens is pounding on the door, correct?
Yes, sir.
She told you that she felt like she was in imminent danger. Is that right?
Yes, she did.
She told you that Miss Owens had pounded on the door once before in the past and had actually damaged the door. Is that right?
I don't recall her saying that she was the one that damaged it.
Page 42 of that first
Yes, sir.
page 42 of that first transcript, lines 2 through 4.
Okay.
Yes, sir. She told you that Miss Owens in the past had pounded on the door and had damaged the door, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you that she thought Miss Owens was coming through the door because everything was shaky and even the mirror that was on the wall was shaking as well, correct?
Correct.
Now, you told her that it was not safe for her to go back to her house after this incident, right?
I said that I did not believe that it was safe for her to go back to her house, yes.
Okay. I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the June 6, 2023 interaction that you had with Miss Lawrence. The transcript is right there if you need to refresh your recollection. If you do, just let me know what page and what line and we'll work it out, okay?
Yes, sir.
On that day, June 6th of 2023, she again, Miss Lawrence, told you that that day, Miss Owens told her on the night of the incident that she was gonna kill her, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you again on that day, June 6th of 2023, that she thought Miss Owens was going to break down the door, correct?
Correct.
She told you on that day, June 6th of 2023, that her heart was pounding and that she thought that Miss Owens was going to kill her, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you on this day that if Miss Owens was to come into her residence, that she would pound her. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Miss Lawrence told you on that day that if Miss Owens was to come into her residence, that Miss Owens would pound her into the ground. Is that right?
She said that's what she believed would happen. Yes.
Yes, sir. Miss Lawrence told you, June 6th of 2023, that she told Miss Owens as she was banging on the door that she was trespassing and to leave, correct?
Correct.
Miss Lawrence told you on this June 6th of 2023 interaction that you had with her, that when Miss Owens was banging and banging on the door, screaming at her, that she was gonna kill her, that Miss Lawrence felt that Miss Owens was literally going to come into her house and kill her, correct?
Correct.
She told you in this follow-up statement that Miss Owens had picked up the no trespassing sign and threw it at her, right?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lawrence told you and Detective Pinder that one of the times that Miss Owens told her, "I'm going to kill you," is when she fired the weapon, right?
That's correct.
She told you that after she told Miss Owens to stop, 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 go away, move away, and she wouldn't move away, that's when she shot, right?
I would have to review the transcript on that.
Page 31 of that June 6th transcript, lines 2 through 3.
And you said, I'm sorry, 21,
Yes, sir. Page 31.
31.
Yes, sir. Lines 2 through 3.
Yes, sir.
She told you that after she told Miss Owens to stop, 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 go away, and she wouldn't move away, that's when she shot, right?
Yes, sir.
She told you on that day that she was terrified that Miss Owens was going to come in her home and kill her, right?
She did say that, yes.
She explained to both of you that she remembered that what she remembered was Miss Owens was pounding and pounding and screaming and yelling, right?
Correct.
She also told you that the door was repaired and re-repaired, so she never felt that the door was secure, correct?
She did say that, yes.
She told you in this second statement that she had a fusion in her neck and a laminectomy in her lower back, and she had this knee that goes backwards, right?
Yes, she did.
And she also had a torn rotator cuff, right?
I believe I remember that from the second interview, yes.
Yes, sir. And she told you, and I quote, "I did what I thought I had to. I honest to God thought she was going to kill me. I mean, that's all I thought. I just felt that terror. I mean, it was sheer terror," correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on your review of Susan's phone, it does not appear she deleted any data. Is that right?
That's correct.
If I may have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
With the defendant, you indicated that you felt it wasn't safe for her to go back to that residence, right?
That's correct.
Was that because she had just shot a member of that community and the community was upset about it?
That's correct.
During your interviews with her, did the defendant tell you that the door, the metal door we see here in the courtroom, was closed when she fired?
Yes, sir.
Did she tell you the lock on the door was engaged when she fired?
Yes, she did.
Did she tell you the deadbolt as well was engaged when she fired?
Yes, sir.
When you were there on scene, did you see any evidence of fresh damage to the door jamb?
No, I did not.
You mentioned earlier when Mr. Bronson was asking you some questions that you saw some putty there.
That's correct.
Did you also see new strike plates put in
They appeared to be newer than the door.
for both the lock of the door and the deadbolt?
Yes, sir.
Were those strike plates, did they have screws screwed into the frame?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any splinters, wood fragments, anything to suggest there was damage caused by this incident on the floor?
No, I did not.
Did you see any wood splinters, shards, shavings, anything to indicate there was fresh damage from this incident from the door jam?
No, I did not.
Thank you, Detective. No
May
questions.
we approach?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll have you step out just for a few minutes. We'll come back in a few minutes. All right, you want 1 second. All right, the door is closed. Just because of the times we're at the bench here, I just want the record to be clear. First of all, regarding the objection on the door, you objected because I guess there was some of the damage had been repaired.
Yes, sir.
What I found is that despite the repair, you can still see where the bullet hole was, which is relevant in this case. So that's why I overruled your objection to that and let it into evidence. You have an additional matter you want to bring up with the court this time?
Yes, sir. Mr. Buxman, in redirect examination, specifically asked Detective Stith why it was that he felt that Miss Lawrence couldn't go back to her home. And he said, I believe that she was in danger because of she had shot someone in the community was upset, et cetera, et cetera. I believe that question and his answer in redirect opens the door for a issue that Your Honor ruled was not admissible, i.e. that after the fact, Miss Lawrence's door was well, not damaged, but it was painted over, or not painted, I'm sorry. There were negative things that were put on the door about Miss Lawrence and that her home was burglarized. I believe now that the door has been opened, that we should be allowed to ask Detective Stith about that. But before I did that, I wanted to discuss it with Your Honor to make sure Your Honor has permission to go forward. So that is our request, and we believe the door has been opened on that issue.
Is there any indication that any of the people who were witnesses here in the trial did any of the damage?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So what relevance would it have that after the whole thing's over, some person or persons may have damaged the door?
Well, Your Honor, the relevance is that, the community was upset with, Miss Lawrence after the fact, and before the fact too, which is clear from the evidence that's been presented. And it would go to one of the reasons why Miss Lawrence was upset and why she did, and why she felt that she had to shoot through that door. So it goes to her state of mind as well. And it's evidence of why she had fear before this incident occurred, because of the issues in the community with her.
And Judge,
Well, oh, sure, go ahead.
if I could just put on the record, so when Mr. Buxman asked Detective Stiff why the reason he believed it wasn't safe for her to go back to her home, I think that then opens the door for the defense to be also able to question him about, well, also, as a matter of fact, Miss Lawrence's home was burglarized very shortly after this incident, where there was writing on the door, her windows were damaged. I think that explains a little bit of the reason why somebody painted over the door, which has already been come out into evidence. But I think by Mr. Buxman specifically asking this witness that question as to his opinion, you can't just give part of the answer to say, well, it's because there was a shooting of somebody in the community's upset, and leave out the second part, and also this community burglarized her home. So I think by asking that question, Mr. Boxman opened the door, that we should be now allowed to bring in this additional reason.
What's the state's position?
Your Honor, my question was in response to Mr. Franz's question on cross-examination about the interview. Him specifically telling her on June 3rd that it was not, he didn't think it was safe for her to go back. My question followed up and focused solely on that statement on June 3rd as far as why he said that to her. That in no way opens the door to something that happened days or potentially weeks after he made that statement to her at the interview. One has nothing to do with the other. So the door is not even close to being opened. And secondarily, what some unknown person may have done after the fact to this door has no relevance whatsoever as to why he made that statement on June 3rd.
Anything else you want to add?
Judge, just that the state's own evidence, they played the interview where the detective specifically said to Susan Lorincz, I don't feel like it's safe. So we didn't open any door on cross. They already elicited that testimony during the direct and their interview. I just want to put that on the record.
Okay, well, it's a fair enough point. It was brought out. It was in the interview, which we've all had lots of litigation over this interview, and no one has really mentioned that as being problematic in any way. Mr. Carranza then questioned him about it. In addition to the fact that it was played, he also brought it out again, and the state asked a single question regarding that. So, yes, it was played in the state's evidence, but it was then highlighted by the defense. But more importantly, I'm not sure what anyone is referring to when they say the community, because as far as I know, there's no evidence of who damaged the door or wrote anything afterwards. So to attribute that to any particular group of people is without evidence, right? We're just saying the most any of us can say is that somebody after the fact damaged the door. That's the most any of us can say. However, I don't find that to be relevant to any of the particular issues in this case, particularly the issue of self-defense, because it happened after the fact. So it could not have been on her mind at the time of the offense. There's no evidence of who did what, so I don't find it to be relevant. I note your objection. Is there any additional questions you'd like to ask this person before he's released?
Judge, can we just do a proffer real quick while the jury's out?
Sure.
Do you want to just proffer?
Sure.
Detective, after the fact, after this incident, were you, either through your investigation or other people, other individuals that work for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, did you come to find out that there was damage caused to Ms. Lawrence's door and her property, or the property that she rented?
Yes, sir.
And what damage was caused?
I couldn't really speak to that. I was working this investigation that we're discussing today. I was told through other detectives who responded out to the scene to conduct further interviews and canvass the neighborhood, that while they were there, they were alerted to some damage that had been done to the defendant's property. I didn't respond that day. I didn't see the damage myself. I was just told.
What were you told in regard to the damage?
There may have been some broken windows and some things spray painted on the front door.
Do you know if the house itself was burglarized? In other words, did anyone go in and either take property, destroy property inside, anything like that?
I don't know.
Any other information that you received besides the writings on the wall and some broken windows?
No, sir.
No further questions.
I just want to put a couple questions on the record, Judge, and then I'm.
Sure.
So this damage that was done to the door at Susan Lawrence's house, that was done before you actually went out and collected the door?
Yes.
And is that the reason why the door was painted over, was because of that language, that damage?
I don't know why it was repainted.
Okay. That was done before you left it?
Yes.
In addition to the reasons I gave originally, I would point out that this witness has no personal knowledge of what he's testified about. It's all hearsay because he said he didn't witness anything. Everything he testified to, he was told by somebody else, which would also make a hearsay. So again, overrule the objection. Anyone have any other questions for this particular witness?
Not from the state.
Is he excused?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're excused, sir. Thank you.
Transcripts.
You have another witness, right?
Yes, sir.
The jury's already out on break. I was gonna give us a break anyway, so we'll take about 10 minutes or so. 10, 15, we'll give you 15 minutes, everybody. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. That's not our fault, so no worries.
I'm just gonna be folding it up, I'm gonna put the label on the door. Yeah.
I'll check.
See, that's what I'm talking about, defendant.
Yeah, and that's, that I fully understand. It's really fun to do.
Yeah.
I've done it, it's a blast.
I know. Like, all right, you really want to go down that road? I'm gonna see if I can.
Getting out of work again?
Let's do that. Yeah, now. See that, right? Oh. It's always a wealth of knowledge. But I'm looking at it.
Hey guys, I'm back. I'm sorry, I had to step out and go pick up. Let me see what's going on. I need my glasses. I'll be back in just a minute. Let me see what's going on. Okay, if you're just now coming in, we are watching live the Susan Lorincz trial. Let me just put you guys on standby real quick. I'll be right back. Okay.
Do you swear or affirm
Okay,
that the
we're
testimony you're about
back.
to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jesse Newbanks. That's Newbanks.
Where do you work?
I'm the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
What do you do for them?
I am the Senior Digital Forensic Technician assigned to our Criminal Investigations Division.
What does that mean? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
So generally speaking, I conduct extraction and analysis of items containing digital evidence. So everything from cell phones, tablets, DVR systems, vehicles. Pretty much if it has a power button, it can contain evidence that comes to my office.
How long have you been with the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
With the Sheriff's Office, a little over 8 years.
And how long have you been in this current position?
In this position, a little over 7.
Can you describe to the jury your training and your background that allows you to do this type of job?
So in short, I have a Master's of Science from the University of South Florida, specializing in digital forensics, specifically in cybersecurity, as well as a graduate certificate in digital forensics from the University of South Florida. Collectively, I have about 1,200 hours worth of specialized training in the fields of digital forensics and cybersecurity, and approximately 20 different certifications in those fields.
Have you, in the course of your job at the Sheriff's Office, had the opportunity to extract data from a cell phone?
I have.
Can you estimate about how many times you've done that?
Last check, it was a little over 1,500.
And have you been, what type of programs do you generally use when extracting data?
Generally, we use 2 programs, either Cellbrite or a system called Key.
Have you been trained on how to use those programs?
I have. Of those certifications, some of them are for those 2.
Can you describe just some of the training that you've gone to, how long it was, that kind of thing?
Sure. So I hold 3 certifications through Cellbrite itself. Ultimately, they're capstone certifications, a Cellbrite certified mobile examiner. That requires both a knowledge-based skill test and actual practical hands-on exercises to actually be able to pass that, plus verified work experience, things of that nature. So I hold that through Cellbrite, as well as Key certified operator through Magnet now, and a company called Key.
1 second. You slow down.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Have you been permitted to give opinion testimony in the field of digital forensics before a court?
I have.
Can you estimate about how many times?
I believe it's twice.
Your Honor, I asked the witness be permitted to provide opinion testimony in the area of digital forensics in this case.
Yes, ma'am. One second. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you step out just for a second. Thank you. All right, so the actual motion by the state was to have him found to be an expert. Sounds like you're not really challenging his expertise, but more in the nature of what his actual testimony would be.
Yes, Judge, I need to check and see if Mr. Newbanks was listed as an expert witness by the state, but when I conducted Mr. Newbanks' deposition, it was very short. I asked him if he had performed the phone extraction. He said yes. I asked him if he performed any analysis on the phone whatsoever, and he told me no, and that was his involvement. So now it seems like the state is trying to qualify him as an expert witness to have him give an opinion on specific items from the phone, so the defense was not put on notice regarding this.
Was there some sort of report generated by the person?
There were, Your Honor. There were 2 reports in the consent discovery and provided to the defense.
Does anyone have one? Do you have a report or?
And if you could just put on the record when it was sent and what supplemental.
I know I emailed it to the defense.
So if I understand it, he does an extraction. The extraction generates this printout. This looks like some sort of printout from, it says extraction report, Cellbrite extraction report. And now he's simply going to read the timestamps that are listed. Is that what's the date where it says created?
Generally, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, so he's then, I guess it's my understanding of what you wanted him to do, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, is he's created an extraction. The extraction is in the form of a printout. And the only analysis you want him to do is actually just read the printout as to the timestamps.
Primarily, the focus is twofold. Number one, he analyzed the times and durations of the 291 calls in this case that appear on her phone. And
Okay.
secondly,
Where are they on here?
that should be on either the first or last page of that report. They're two separate reports.
Okay.
One's a very short one page showing the two calls. And the other, I believe, is like 4 or 5 pages showing the different videos.
1 second. I'm gonna take a short break.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Susan has public defender. She's indigent. I saw where her apartment went into not foreclosure, excuse me. She went into eviction. And I mean, I think it's her and she has a sister. I don't know how much family she has. I really don't. Um, but it appears that she's done. You know, I think that her demeanor, the sad face, the I didn't bother to brush my hair. If she came in there looking like she actually tried a little bit, it might make a difference. Um, but she may have the jury feeling bad for her. And, I don't know. We're going to see. I'm going to just say this. This lady, I'm assuming she's pretty much lost everything. She's lost her job, she lost her home, all the things. So she's definitely
The issue, I'm not
Okay.
gonna ask Jesse Newbanks any opinion questions. Um, The only potential concern I had was about the timestamps. It's really not opinion testimony. The issue's taken care of, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No, so I guess I had to go back. Are you going to object to him being qualified as an expert? Or were you not simply
I'm not
ask?
going to qualify him as an expert, Your Honor.
Okay, no problem. We'll bring the jurors back in.
And the question was about the report being provided. There was a report provided, I believe, August 8th in an email to the defense. The reports I'm referring to in seeking injuries.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, what now? What'd you say? Okay.
I'm going to direct your attention to June 6th of 2023. Were you contacted by lead detective Ryan Stitt in this case to extract certain data off of a phone belonging to Susan Lorincz?
I was.
And how did you come to be in possession of the phone?
The device was currently secured in the Digital Evidence Lab's secured storage facility where I obtained it to execute a search warrant.
Showing most of the introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 18. Can you take a look at that? Tell me if you recognize that.
This would be the one.
Sorry,
That's correct.
is that the phone that you examined?
It is.
And you said you examined that pursuant to a search warrant, right?
That is correct.
Did that search warrant allow you to look into the phone and extract certain specific data from the phone?
It did.
Can you explain to the jury the process you went through in extracting the data off of that phone?
So very broadly speaking, we take the cellular device and we connect it to any of our forensic workstations or whatever tool we're using at that time. And that allows us to gain access to certain data within the phone itself.
What type of information did you extract from the phone that's relevant to what we're going to be talking about here?
So ultimately, we conducted an extraction of various different types of artifacts from the phone itself, but specifically, we were looking at videos and things like that within the search warrant as outlined within it.
Were there any problems with your extraction?
None I can recall.
Once you extract the data, what did you do with that information?
So that information is loaded into a digital report and it's provided to the case agent for his review.
Would that be Detective Stiff?
That is correct.
All right. During your extraction, did you locate any videos that came from a blink camera mounted inside of a sliding glass door of the defendant's residence?
We did.
Can you explain to the jury how a blink camera works and how it interacts with a cell phone?
So generally speaking, those cameras operate kind of isolated from the phone itself. They operate on a system, record video, send it up to a cloud or some form of a server as run by that application provider. Then the phone is simply using an application to access that data.
And a blink camera is like a security camera?
Correct.
If someone accesses that blink application from their cell phone, is that video or that data placed onto the cell phone somehow?
There is information, yes.
How does that work?
So follow with me, if you will. Most applications, because as humans, we generally are impatient, they will try to do their best to help ease user interaction with those specific apps. So taking Blink, for example, when you load up the Blink app on your cell phone, it will load in what we call cache information to your cellular device. It's done by the application, not necessarily by the user. But it's done so that every time you go back into that application, things that were there before are already there and you don't have to wait for it to reload. Think about it if you're looking at Instagram or Facebook, anything you had looked at previously is already there. Next time you go back into it, it just loads the new stuff. It caches all that data to the phone, and we're able to see that data when we do our forensic extractions.
Slow down a little bit.
Apologize.
When you examined the blink camera data from the phone, did you locate any camera footage from the nighttime?
No, we did not.
Can you explain why there would not be footage from the nighttime in this situation?
So what we did find in some of these videos is that the cameras themselves were either mounted or placed behind a glass window. At night, these cameras operate off of infrared. So the light turns on, but because the camera is behind a piece of glass, it's actually reflecting the infrared back at the camera itself. So the camera is effectively blind. We did locate a number of videos indicating that was it, and we didn't find any videos from the nighttime itself.
So did you find any blink videos showing either the shooting or what happened just before because of that very problem?
None that I saw, no.
Did you locate some photos on, or some videos on the cell phone that were taken directly from the cell phone itself?
We did.
Did you also locate evidence on Miss Lawrence's phone that she had called 911 on 2 separate occasions on June 2nd, 2023?
We did.
As far as the 911 calls, how does a phone store that information?
So generally speaking, phones will store that information in the database itself. Specifically, the database we looked at for this is the call history, specifically the call logs.
Does the phone itself record the exact time that the call is made?
It does.
Does it record the duration of the call?
It does.
And how does it do that?
So generally speaking, it's from the timestamp of the phone itself when the call is made, and then the duration until it is hung up and terminated.
And how do we know that timestamp is accurate?
It's based off of the phone itself, connecting to the cellular provider.
Could the phone have the wrong time on it or something?
It's possible, but generally speaking, with the phones, they actually obtain accurate time from the cellular provider based off of where you're at in the world. So they're generally accurate.
Was a report generated showing these 2 911 calls that occurred on June 2nd of 2023, the dates, the times, and the duration of those calls based on the information you extracted from the defendant's cell phone?
There was a report made, yes.
Was a report generated also showing certain videos captured from her actual cell phone that appeared during your extraction process?
There was.
And did that report show videos taken from her cell phone from about 7:21 and 14 seconds p.m. until about 8:53, 32 seconds p.m. on June 2nd of 2023?
That is correct.
Showing you the margin states exhibit X. You recognize that report and the disc that's attached to it.
I do.
How do you recognize it?
Has my initials on both.
Have you reviewed the report before?
I have.
And does that fairly and accurately depict the information you extracted from the defendant's cell phone?
In reference to these items, yes.
And we mentioned some videos. Have you reviewed the disc that's attached to that exhibit?
That is correct.
What's on that disc?
They are the videos as referenced in the report itself.
And about how many videos are located on that report?
I believe there's 11.
Does the report show what looks to be like duplicate entries of the same video?
That is correct.
Can you explain to the jury why that would be the case?
So on phones themselves, the operating systems of the phones will move things about and do things to, again, ease user access. We go back to that cache data we were talking about with the Blink application. Specifically, we find the exact same videos in 2 separate locations on the phone. One within the DCIM folder, stands for digital camera image. It's a general rule of thumb, if you will, when it comes to actually taking photos. The other one we find within a cache folder of the actual file system for the Apple operating system itself. It's the exact same video, just located in 2 separate places on the phone. So we report in both.
And why do you report them both?
Just so that we can talk about both of them existing.
Okay, and you mentioned the word cache again. What is that?
That's done by the phone and the operating system itself, not necessarily by the user.
This time you're on the state would move state's exhibit X into evidence as 22.
Over the objection, given evidence of state's number 22.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I can have access to the TV room.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir. All right, I'm showing you the first page of that report that we just looked at. Can you just explain to the jury what we're looking at so they'll understand?
Sure. So as you can see at the first line, it's labeled as number 1. And then subsequently after that, you have 1 with a 1 in parentheses and then a 1 with a 2 in parentheses. That go back to what I was just talking about the duplicate videos. So it shows one video. It's the exact same video based off of that hash value. Essentially what that is a algorithmic, we'll talk about it as a fingerprint for those specific files. It shows that they're the exact same thing. Underneath that, it shows us the name and location, as well as any metadata associated with the videos as we found them. So that is
What's
for
metadata. Before you go on, what is metadata?
metadata is generally data about data. Think of it as a subset of information about the specific file we're talking about. So in this case, it's the created, modified, and access times, as well as the path and the name for these videos we're looking at. On this screen right here, it's the 2 sets for items number 1 and 2 with their duplicates for the videos we're looking at here.
And what is it meant by created, modified access times?
Yes, ma'am. Overrule the objection.
These terms are probably self-explanatory, but what does created mean?
Generally, it's when that video was created on the storage medium, in this case, the phone.
What about modified?
When it was last changed or edited,
And what about accessed?
generally speaking, when it was last viewed or seen.
I want to go through those 11 videos that you extracted from the phone.
Okay.
Did you locate a video on June 2nd, 2023 at 7:21:14 p.m.?
We did that. That's the first video.
And are many of these videos very, very short?
That is correct.
So this first video, according to the report you have, occurred at 7:21:14 p.m.
That is correct.
Based on your extracted data from the phone, what time was the first 911 call made on her phone on that day?
Going to that page of the report, the first 911 call was at approximately 8:54:09 p.m. on
How do
16.
you know that these videos were taken directly from her cell phone?
So again, going back to the specific file path we were talking about, they actually show that they were from the actual phone itself. And there is metadata within the report to show that it was from a specific make and model of the phone to which it lives.
Showing you a photo that you found from at 7:30:12 p.m. Was there a photo at 7:30:36 p.m. as well?
There is videos.
Is there a photo take or a video at 7:58 and 59 seconds?
There is.
Did you locate a photo at 8:33 and 34 seconds PM?
We did.
Did you locate a video at 8:33 and 59 seconds PM?
We did.
What about a photo at 8:34 and 57 seconds PM? A video, excuse me.
We did.
How about a video at 8:49 and 49 seconds PM?
We did.
Was that video only like a second long?
I believe so.
Was there another video 2 seconds later, 8:49 and 51 seconds?
That is correct.
Now, if this video was at 8:59 and 51 seconds, is that about 5 minutes before the first 911 call was made?
That is correct.
Did you locate a video at 8:50 and 37 seconds PM?
We did.
And finally, did you locate a video at 8:53 and 32 seconds PM?
We did.
Is that last video about 30 seconds before the first 911 call was made?
It appears so. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you also extracted the data regarding the 2 911 calls made by the defendant's phone on the evening of June 2nd, 2023, right?
That is correct.
What do we see on this page of the report?
This is specifically those 2 911 calls, their timestamps and durations.
And does the report, the extraction data from her phone show the time that the first 911 call was made?
It does.
What time was it again?
That was timestamped at 8:54:09 p.m. So, yeah, UTC. And it lasted approximately 4 minutes and 55 seconds.
You see that under the number 1 column?
Correct.
So if that first call was made at 8:54:09 and lasted 4 minutes and 55 seconds, about when would that phone have disconnected?
Approximately 5 minutes after, so roughly 8:59 p.m.
According to your extraction results, when was the second 911 call made?
It was made at 9:01 and 37 seconds PM.
So about how long between when the first 911 call was hung up and the second call was made?
Approximately 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Thank you, sir. No other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination? Is he excused?
He is, Your Honor.
Sir, are you excused? Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Buxman?
That witness back?
Thank you. State restaurant.
Ladies and gentlemen, the state of Florida has rested its case. However, the trial is not over. I'm going to have you go back to the jury room and we'll go over a few things here and then we'll see who the next witness is going to be. Right now, go back with leave your notepads here and go back with the bailiff and we'll have you out as soon as we can, okay? All right, so the state has rested its case. Jurors are outside the courtroom.
I'm doing the motion for judgment of acquittal.
Either way you want.
May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves for a judgment of acquittal based on the evidence that's presented in the light most favorable to the state. The state has failed to satisfy its burden in this case. The case law is clear that once a prima facie showing of self-defense is made, that the state has the burden of disproving that she acted in self-defense, that Ms. Lorincz acted in self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. So the evidence today has failed to meet that burden. The state's evidence showed that there had been prior violence from Ms. Owens. There was a battery where she threw a sign. There were prior trespasses. There were prior threats. Those came from multiple state witnesses, including, I guess, through the officer from Ms. Owens herself. The confrontation on June 2nd was started by Ms. Owens approaching Ms. Lawrence's residence. There's also evidence of Ms. Lawrence attempts at disengaging both in the past and on June 2nd by telling her, get off my property, trespassing, attempting to use other means to get this confrontation stopped. It's also supported by the evidence afterwards that she surrendered to Deputy Stringer and to Trainee Barboza. She called 911 and that she gave full statements to law enforcement and follow-ups at the detective's requests. And I present to the court some case law on the matter. Jenkins v. State 942 Southern 2nd 910. It's a Florida 2nd DCA case from 2006. The facts in that case are a little bit different, other than the banging on the door. It's also a case where the victim was banging on the door. In that case, the defendant actually had two residences, two mobile homes that were next to each other, and the victim was banging on the door to the residence that the defendant did not live in, but was owned by him. And in that case, the court denied the motion for judgment of acquittal, and
Well, in that case, it looks like wasn't there like some sort of punch thrown?
yes,
Like the victim actually punched the defendant first?
yes, that's correct. The facts
Okay.
are somewhat different from this case, and he was not inside the residence at the time, and they do go through that the reason that I cited that case is it also has a nice recap of a lot of the Florida cases regarding self-defense, starting on page 6. It talks about 7 Florida cases that have reversed convictions based on the state's failure to rebut a prima facie case of self-defense, and then goes through kind of the facts of each of those that in a circumstance where, I think they're talking about all these cases here. Thompson, which talks about a case where there's a fight where the defendant has backed up, brandished a gun at an aggressor, but the aggressor continued to approach, that kind of scenario. So it does a good job at kind of explaining the circumstances under which the state has or has not rebutted cases of self-defense. And then it also talks about circumstances where the courts have properly denied a motion for judgment of acquittal. So refusing to acquit defendants based on claims of self-defense are materially distinguished in certain scenarios, like when a defendant's brother threatened to kill him during an argument, then the defendant drove away and returned later with a rifle. That was distinguished. In those kinds of cases, the courts have properly denied a motion for judgment of acquittal.
Okay.
Additionally, I provided to the court SR v. State 11 Southern 3rd 442. It's a third DCA case from 2009. This is not a this is a self-defense case, but it is not a deadly force case. This is a juvenile case where the evidence in that case was that the juvenile defendant, who I believe was a female, was in a circumstance where she was in a hallway, and her stepfather, who had prior acts of violence, was blocking her exit, and she kind of pushed past him on her way to the door. And the court found her guilty of a battery, and the appellate court reversed and said that self-defense does not focus on whether an act was purposeful, it's whether or not an act was done to defend oneself against the imminent use of force. And in that case, similar to this case, there was testimony of prior acts of violence, and there was testimony that she was aware of those, prior acts of violence. And so the court found that the denial for judgment of acquittal was unreasonable, and they reversed. And then the last case that I cited is McGriff v. State. This is an older case. It's 341 Southern 2nd, 1036. It's a 4th DCA case from 1977. The reason that I wanted to bring that case to the court's attention is that in that case, they talk about the circumstance where the behavior of the defendant after the shooting happened, in this case, also tends to support the claim of self-defense, which is like the case here. In that case, I guess the victim was intoxicated. The defendant initially pulled out a gun and fired a warning shot, and the victim continued to approach, and then there ended up being a scuffle. And the gun
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Subsequent to that, the defendant ordered that someone take him to the hospital, and then the defendant turned himself in, and he gave a full statement to law enforcement. So for those reasons, I would ask that the court grant the defense motion for judgment of acquittal.
What's the state's position?
In the incident case, the state has established a prima facie case to go to the jury, established the elements of manslaughter, established that the crime happened in Marion County, that the victim was Owens, by stipulation wasn't that the victim in this case. She's deceased. We've established that she is deceased because the defendant, by her own admissions, fired a gun through the door. The projectile struck the victim died as a result of that. That her own testimony shows an intentional act was committed by pulling the trigger. There's no indication it was accidental or something to that effect. Additionally, based on the facts and circumstances of this case, we've established that the decision to fire that firearm would constitute culpable negligence. As far as the self-defense aspect goes, Your Honor, the defense has provided, I believe, 3 cases, all of which are very factually distinguishable from the instant case. Here, the instant case, we have the defendant behind a closed, locked, deadbolt door, and we have verbal statements by the victim and some hounding, clearly a reasonable jury could find that there is no imminent threat towards the defendant at the time that she chose to shoot the gun, and as well as there is no imminent ability or attempt for the victim to engage in a forcible felony. Even if this court assumes she was trespassing, it's not a forcible felony, would justify the use of deadly force. I ask the JOA be denied.
All right, well, I've listened to the evidence quite carefully and taken notes, especially on issues I thought would be relevant to the defense and to what I understood would eventually be a motion for judgment of acquittal. I do find that the evidence, when viewed in the light most favorable to the state, which is the proper standard at this point in the trial, that the state was able to present competent, substantial evidence that could overcome Ms. Lawrence's self-defense claim, and also produce competent, substantial evidence which would support a verdict for manslaughter. So I will deny the defense's motion for judgment of acquittal, and we will move on from there. And do you have at
Oops.
least some witnesses or one witness available today? Okay. All right.
Your Honor, before we go any further, the defense, before the last witness testified, may have said enough to trigger an allegation of a discovery violation. By report, I'm not sure if they're still pursuing that, considering that we did send them the report well before the witness testified. I'm concerned that if there is an allegation of discovery violation in the appellate court, may look at that, there was no Richardson hearing conducted.
Judge, the defense, just so it's clear for the record, the defense did receive both reports from Mr. Buxton. The defense is only concerned with the fact that they have not listed Jesse Eubanks as an expert witness, and that we're trying to tender him as an expert witness, just so that's clear for the record. I think that issue is resolved.
So you're not suggesting there's a discovery violation?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're not requesting any sort of any sort of Richardson hearing?
No, sir.
I do find there was no discovery violation. The state provided the extraction reports, which is essentially what Mr. Eubanks testified to. Ultimately, he was not qualified as an expert for any sort of analysis. I think digital forensic technicians are maybe a little different than other types of experts anyways, because typically Mr. Eubanks would be simply reading from an extraction report in this sort of case and then showing what was on the phone, which is a little different than most sort of experts. But ultimately, no one tried to qualify him as an expert. The defense has said there's no discovery violation. I find there's no discovery violation. Therefore, I find there's no reason to conduct a Richardson hearing, and we'll move on with the trial.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But you just have one person here, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's fine. I'll let the jury know they'll come early, and we'll go from there, okay? I do want to go over some, after that, once the jury's excused, see if we can get as close as possible to getting the instructions done. Is that good for everybody? I think
Yes,
I have the last instruction. I would request there is another instruction that can be read subsequent to jury verdicts regarding that jurors have a right to not talk to the press. I don't know the number of it. It's somewhere that it's their right to not comment on the case. Yeah, I think it informs them they have a right to comment on the case, but they have a right not to comment. And that may be appropriate in this case.
Yes, sir.
So it's read only after a verdict comes, regardless of what the verdict is. So it's not read to them prior to making a verdict. Okay?
Yes.
If you can't find it, I'll find it. I've seen it before. But I don't have all the numbers memorized, that's my guess. All right, so let me go down. Any changes that we make to jury instructions, just send me instructions that are final. I don't need all the other ones again. Like whoever sent me the last packet sent me all the preliminaries and everything else. Huh? I wasn't blaming anybody. I threw it out there as a whoever, so you know, if you want to confess, it's fine with me. But just I don't want to keep throwing away pieces of paper. You know, all of unnecessary paperwork. We'll bring the jurors back in, and then we'll excuse them after the witness.
Okay, so you guys saw what happened. The defense tried it. They tried to put through a motion for acquittal, and ma'am with the ponytail did not bring the law that she needed to. She I don't know what she was thinking, but none of that applied. It was like, okay. Anywho, so on to the defense putting on their case. They did not have anyone show up today. They have one person, and after that,
Welcome back,
court
ladies
is
and
going to be over for the
As I said, the state
day.
has rested their case. The defense has one witness they want to call. After that witness, we're going to take a recess for the day. You'll get to go home early, and then I'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Okay? Go ahead.
The next part, Rosalie Smith.
What's the first name?
Rosalie.
Rosalie.
Yes, sir.
I did. You're so sweet, Bible lady. You know, most of the time I'm just kind of like, I don't, say a whole lot, but um as far as like who's in my cash app, but thank you so much since you said it. Yes. I sent you a acknowledgement back, but thank you so much. That was so sweet. You guys have been showing me some love today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Did you guys get to see Rosalie?
Good afternoon.
Hi,
Can you please introduce yourself for the jury?
Rosalie Smith
Ms. Smith, where do you currently live?
at 1724 Southwest 107th Lane.
Let me just stop this real quick. I really feel like I didn't say this earlier, and some of you guys might already know. This is an all-white jury. I'm just saying it. These are the facts. It's an all-white jury of women. I'm just hoping that I hope that AJ Owens and her family get justice and the boys. I mean, I don't think it should be a racial thing. It is a racial thing. Susan liked to use the N word. She called the boys slave boys or slaves and all kinds of weird shit. I just hope it's not the peer group of like, I feel sorry for her. That could be me. All of those things. I hope they listen to the facts of the case and don't vote based on fear. Um, Clearly, this was a very diverse neighborhood and she chose to live there. And really and truly, I feel like this is being made to be a beef between AJ Owens, who only had 2 and 3 interactions with her over a 2-year time. She had beef with the kids. She was mad at the kids. She hated the kids. She couldn't stand the kids playing, interacting. Thank you, pen pal. Um, Oof. The suspense is killing me. Anyway, let me take this off so we're not too far behind. Okay. This is a witness for Susan. So okay. We're gonna see how this goes.
You live in apartment 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that here in Ocala?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you were living back in June of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you you lived out there?
Since
That's okay.
since December of 2021.
Did you move here from California?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you were born and raised?
Yeah.
Where was the last place that you lived in California?
Roseville.
The neighborhood that you live in now, can you describe it for me?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have you step out just for a little bit again, sorry.
Oh God. What they don't want them talking about how diverse. It's a diverse neighborhood. There's everything right with that. Like there's nothing. What's the problem? She doesn't want her to divulge that it is a racially diverse. It's not just black people. It's not just Latinos. It's not just whites. She lived amongst a lot of different people from different races and cultures.
All right, the jury's outside the courtroom. I'll have a proffer of her testimony.
Sure. I'll do the proper first.
Sure.
The neighborhood that you live in now, can you describe it for me?
It's, I don't know, it's less than mid, it's a little bit above the hood. How's that?
Have you described it as one step away or a step away from the hood?
Yes.
And Judge, there's been several witnesses so far that have testified to this. I think Ms. Costa may have said that as well, and I think one of the deputies, I think it was Deputy Stringer, had testified that the neighborhood was troublesome and kind of goes to Ms. Lawrence's state of mind, so I think that this testimony is relevant.
This is my thing. And I'm not trying to be elitist or anything, but why live there? If you live in the hood, like, are you sitting here low key complaining about where you chose to live? Why are you mentioning I why are you mentioning why that it's one step over the hood? Like when you live there.
What's the state's position on that?
Here again, I would object with her characterizing the neighborhood as one step away from the hood. One, I don't believe that's relevant to the issue of self-defense between the issues of the victim and the defendant. Two, I believe any type of characterization like that is more prejudiced than it is probative of anything. And I think I know also in her deposition she talks about gunshots in the neighborhood, things like that. And I just think this is an improper characterization of the neighborhood. That's
I'm gonna have the witness. Is that the only question you're gonna ask in those regards?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll have the witness step outside the courtroom for just a little bit.
It's not like she fell up into she's like, "Oh, I just found myself in this neighborhood. I didn't know where I was." Sis, you were living there before the lady left and you killed her as she exited and you would still be there.
Referring to some place as troubled, I mean, lots of places can be troubled. Referring to some place as a hood clearly has kind of a racial connotation to it. So I don't mind her saying,
Right. This isn't about crime and gangs or whatever. I don't even know what they're trying to get at. This is about a neighborhood dispute. This is about two neighbors who had a strong conversation and one of them decided to settle it with a gun.
it's lower economic, it's just a financial term, or that's been trouble, but referring to something as a hood, I think has.
You said lower economic or what? You kind of broke
I
up.
mean, like I said, I don't have a problem saying something like, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, so you may have to find another word for her besides hood. But I would say, I mean, it's obviously not a financially wealthy area. I mean, it's already pretty clear that these are a set of quadruplexes which typically, at least in this part of Marion County, are not, terribly expensive. Most of them are rental properties. But referring to something as a hood, now I think you're trying to refer to as some sort of racial context or for lack of a better word, some sort of black neighborhood. I mean, that's the clear connotation that I think I would draw from that. And to that extent, I think it's too prejudicial and has no probative value
I understand. the
because we
judge's-
already have in evidence that it's and I don't know what the situation is regarding anyone else who lived there, but we know that at least this defendant rented there. Sounds like maybe she rents there, so it's a rental community of quadruplexes. So I think it's pretty clear that it's already, not the most wealthy part of the county. But I'm not gonna allow her to refer to something as the
I
hood.
understand the court's ruling, just for the
Okay.
record, I'm not introducing it for that purpose any way whatsoever. That I'm mainly using it to show that this was kind of an unsafe or bad neighborhood. I understand that that's what the court's ruling. I just want to put that on the record that that's not my intention. I can speak with her.
Yeah, I think you need to find some word other than hood because then you have suggesting that it's bad because there are African Americans living there, and that's the connotation that comes from that versus bad because there's people of any race that may do something wrong.
So is the
You
court
know.
okay with her saying that it's sort of a lower income neighborhood?
Sure, I mean, I think that's pretty much already in evidence. Like I said, most of the quadruplexes I've seen in Marion County are just like this. They're mostly rentals, and people are living there for periods of time. But most of them aren't owned by. I guess they could be, but I don't think most of them are owned by the people who live there. But some could be. But even that, it's not like I said. It's not like you're living in a mansion. So I think yeah, sure.
I don't know if Mr. Smith or whoever wants to.
Can I just say something? How many of you? So when someone says, "Can you describe the neighborhood?" It's nice. It's family friendly. It's working class. Um, what else do you want to know? Like the fact that this lady lives in the neighborhood and they ask her, "Can you describe the neighborhood?" And she says it's one step above hood. Bitch, you can't afford to live anywhere else. Clearly. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where you don't you live there? I've never seen people, well, I've had the privilege to not have to live places I'd never wanted to live. So I'm just saying that from that perspective. But damn it, you live in that fucking neighborhood. Get up off your ass and make some money so you can go live somewhere else. Don't down where people live. So then you're mad. It's like you're mad because you are relegated to a certain neighborhood because that's what your coins get. Well, bitch, I'm sorry. Like that kind of pissed me off. I'm sorry. Like that's what you can afford. So that makes the lady who died a bad person. That makes those kids deserve to not have a mother because this lady is scared. She can't make coin to live in a better accommodation. So you're sitting in a neighborhood where you're afraid of black women who defend their children because you're some weirdo videotaping kids at playing soccer and playing basketball and having a good time. What the fuck is wrong? Like that really kind of pisses me off. That it's funny to me that it's the people that live in the neighborhood complaining, dog whistling about the neighborhood. Get your coins up and go live somewhere else. That bothers me. Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. That really, you know what I'm saying? That's awful. Anyway, let's keep going. But damn, Rosalie better get her shit together because, honey, that's where you live, and everybody's watching tonight. Okay.
Go with me when I'm speaking with her. Just technically she's on the stand.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's you're interjecting something that doesn't need to be interjected in trial.
He's basically saying you're doing too much. You don't need to put that in here. Like, what's the point in it being hood? So that's going to justify her being scared and her showing up without even combing her hair. If I was her lawyer, I would say, you need a brush. And do you need me to drop you off some gel? You need to fix your hair. You need to look like you care about yourself instead of looking like you've been living on the streets. You're talking about you're selling insurance. You're on the phone with clients like you're some sort of insurance executive. And damn it, you're no better than anybody else. And you're a single person living in this dwelling. And you just killed a mother of 4 children.
Gotta love the appellate lawyer.
We're ready for her to return? Ready for her to come back?
Yes, sir.
Bring her back, then we'll bring the jurors.
I really hope the prosecutor reminds them what she said in the video about after the first or second negative interaction and she went and purchased that gun. She went to the gun store, in my opinion, bought that gun, and that gun had AJ Owens' name on it until the day AJ Owens came, knocked on the door, and Susan decided to take her out. And if you don't want to live in the hood, then get your coins up and go, or don't move in. Get a roommate. Find a Golden Girls situation. Let me just say this. You imagine not liking one of your neighbors. One of your neighbors came and talked to you, not once, twice, and you decide to go over down there to the gun store and you buy one gun, then you go buy another gun, then you're going for target practice, and then and basically the person comes to talk to you again, maybe 1 or 2 times, and lo and behold, you shoot through the door. It is definitely giving premeditated. It's giving kind of just the setup. You know what I mean? Like the ultimate setup. Maybe she didn't set it up, but she she antagonized those kids. Kids were being kids. They're defending themselves, they're defending their parents, and then she continues to annoy them, continues to antagonize them. Nobody realizes that she's already purchased a gun to have, to defend herself because she's already living somewhere where sis may feel like she deserves better, but baby, you can't pay for better. So you're living where you're living, and you're actually living somewhere that you're disgusted that people are actually happy. There were happy families in that neighborhood, living their lives, paying their rent, enjoying the fruits of their labor. Everybody doesn't live in 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet. Everybody doesn't have extra. And she's sitting up there scared because she is living in a neighborhood because she can't afford to do better. So she's sitting up there scared of her neighbors and creating drama. She really is the epitome of a damn Karen. She really is. Thank you for whoever just sent me a cash app. You guys are so sweet, and I appreciate y'all supporting.
Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ready to proceed? Thank you.
The neighborhood that you live in now, is that kind of like a lower income neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how far away is your house from Susan Lawrence's house?
I describe it about a football field.
Almost a football field away?
Yes.
Have you ever met Susan Lawrence?
No, ma'am.
Did you know Ajike Owens at all?
No.
Did Did you ever meet any of the people that were involved in this incident?
No, ma'am.
So I want to talk to you about June 2nd, 2023, okay?
Okay.
Where were you when the shooting happened?
I was sitting on an enclosed patio at my apartment.
Was that like a little patio behind like a wooden fence?
Yeah, probably a 6-foot fence.
What did you hear?
I heard a lot of pounding, a lot of yelling, screaming, and then I heard a gunshot.
Did you hear a lot of pounding on a door like it was going to be pushed down?
Yes,
Did you call it like a cop knock?
that's what I call it.
Was it very loud?
Very loud.
Did you hear anyone screaming?
Yes, I heard a woman's voice screaming. To me, it sounded like she was screaming words, but I could not understand any of the words.
Was there a lot of pounding on the door?
Yeah,
And you said you couldn't make out what the person was screaming.
absolutely not.
Was it a female voice screaming?
Yes,
Was the female screaming at the top of her lungs?
probably.
Was it like a pound, 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 let me in kind of thing?
Yeah,
Your Honor, and I would object to the question as a mischaracterization of the witness's earlier testimony.
So ruled.
And speculation.
Did it sound like the woman was really angry?
I would say so, just by hearing her voice.
Now, could you see any of this?
No, ma'am.
So even though you were almost a football field away, you could still hear this?
I could hear it.
How long do you think the pounding went on for?
It seemed like it went on forever. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe less, but I mean, I wasn't timing it, but it just went on and on and on.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. So Ms. Smith, how are you doing today?
I'd rather not be here, but I'm great.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? One, you said you were in a patio. Were you outside?
I was outside my apartment, yes.
Is there any type of roof or anything above your patio?
No, there's no roof. Just a fence.
So you're outside and defense counsel asked you a question about it was pound, 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 and did it sound like a let me in, but you testified you didn't hear any specific words, correct?
And none of them.
You couldn't make out any words that were said.
No,
So any idea of what might have been said would be purely guessing on your part,
absolutely.
pure speculation on your part.
Yes,
And you called 911 in this case, correct?
yes,
And you only called 911 after you heard the loud sound, correct?
yes,
All right. And you believe that loud sound to be a gunshot?
yes. I know what it sounds like.
Okay. And it was only after you heard the gunshot that you called 911.
Right.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any redirect?
No,
She excused? Ma'am, you're excused with our thanks. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be done for today. I remind you to put your notebooks down. I also remind you that, the case is not over, so you can't begin to deliberate in any way. We are in recess, so you can, of course, go home or wherever else you want to go. Remember my prior warnings about looking up anything. Please don't look on local news sites or local television where it may be covered.
Don't come to YouTube.
Don't talk to anyone about the case or let anyone talk to you about the case, okay? If anyone does try to say anything to you, please let us know, and we'll be happy to take care of that for you. Have a very nice day. Thank you.
I was trying to catch, I got distracted for a second, the last bit of her testimony, but I'll go back and watch it later. So she didn't hear nothing and see nothing. Why is she on the stand? Because she probably couldn't get anyone else. They probably couldn't get anyone else to.
The jury has been excused for today.
Hold on. I just want to hear what she said one more time, guys.
Oh,
Where you were born and raised?
Yeah.
Where was the last place that you lived in California? That you live in now?
Girl, we don't care about that.
When the shooting happened?
I was sitting on an enclosed patio at my apartment.
Was that like a little patio behind like a wooden fence?
Yeah, probably a 6-foot fence.
What did you hear?
I heard a lot of pounding, a lot of yelling, screaming, and then I heard a gunshot.
Did you hear a lot of pounding on a door like it was going to be pushed down?
Yes,
Did you call it like a cop knock?
that's what I call it.
Was it very loud?
Very loud.
Did you hear anyone screaming?
Yes, I heard a woman's voice screaming. To me, it sounded like she was screaming words, but I could not understand any of the words.
Was there a lot of pounding on the door?
Yeah,
And you said you couldn't make out what the person was screaming.
absolutely not.
Was it a female voice screaming?
Yes,
Was the female screaming at the top of her lungs?
probably.
Was it like a pound, 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 let me in kind of thing?
Yeah,
Turner and I would object to the question as a mischaracterization of the witnesses' earlier testimony. And speculation.
Did it sound like the woman was really angry?
I would say so. Just by hearing.
Do you see what I mean about like them trying to really portray? There was more of a relationship between this lady, not this lady, but Miss Ma'am, and the children. You don't think a mother of 4 was out working all the time? She had 4 kids at the house. She wasn't in no damn feud with this woman. Leave my kids alone, let them play, and that's it. She probably was aggravated that she even needed to handle this business. Are you kidding me? They're trying to make it seem like there was more to this. It really probably wasn't anything. You see what I'm saying? She had more of a relationship with them damn kids. This could have been any mother on the block. It just so happened that Boo forgot his computer in the field. He went to go get his damn computer, his iPad or whatever, and this trick throws a damn skate at the boy, and bitch, you're not going to throw a skate at my kid. So I need to come talk to you as a woman. Like, what is wrong with you? You could have hit him in the head. What's wrong with you? There was no relationship. There was no back and forth. Anyway, okay, so Rosalie didn't even hear anything. This is going to tell me, guys, tomorrow they don't have no defense. They don't have any defense. They probably don't have any really good witnesses. We're going to see tomorrow. They're probably going to rest their case, and we're going to have a verdict either tomorrow night or Monday. Let's see what you guys are saying with the poll right now. Hold on a second. Thank you. Will Susan Lorincz manslaughter trial end in what you guys are saying right now? 77% guilty. 77% guilty, 18% unsure, 4% not guilty. And you know what? That is the scary factor. That's the creepy factor of what we're dealing with right now, because it's a possibility, because ma'am is giving disheveled. She's giving feel sorry for me. She's giving I'm trapped in the guys, I'm trapped in the unfortunate neighborhood. She's not a retiree. Sis was what, last year? So this year she turned 60. So 58, 59 years old. when this happened. You were 58 when this happened. Ma'am, you're not retired, sis. You're not 65. You're not 70. I don't like 58. I don't feel sorry for you. You should be able bodied. And it doesn't look like you took very good care of yourself at all. Okay. So you're in the situation you're in because you made certain decisions with your career and all of the things. And it is what it is. And you are actually sitting here afraid and justifying killing someone because because of your circumstances, with your finances that relegates you to live on how you have to live. Anyway, okay, so Rosalie really didn't hear anything. She heard something. She heard an audible, but she can't really define what was audible at the moment. Like she can't put a stamp to it. She heard something, but in terms of, you know how like you're in the kitchen and someone's calling you from the other side of the house? You know someone's calling you, but you can't really make out what they're saying. That's what it kind of sounds like, right? She's hearing
Ma'am.
something.
Now, could you see any of this?
No, ma'am.
So even though you were almost a football field away, you could still hear this?
I could hear it.
How long do you think the pounding went on for?
It seemed like it went on forever. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe less, but I mean, I wasn't timing it, but it just went on and on and on.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. So Ms. Smith, how are you doing today?
I'd rather not be here, but I'm great.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? One, you said you were in a patio. Were you outside?
I was outside my apartment, yes.
Is there any type of roof or anything above your patio?
No, there's no roof. Just a fence.
So you're outside and defense counsel asked you a question about it was pound, 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 and it didn't sound like a let me in, but you testified that you didn't hear any specific words, correct?
And none of them.
Yeah. You couldn't make out any words that were said.
No.
So any idea of what might have been said would be purely guessing on your part,
Absolutely.
pure speculation on your part.
Yes.
And you called 911 in this case, correct?
Yes.
And you only called 911 after you heard the loud sound, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you believe that loud sound to be a gunshot?
Yes. I know what it sounds like.
Okay. And it was only after you heard the gunshot that you called 911.
Right.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, sir.
She excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you're excused with our thanks. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
That was a useless witness. I'm telling you, I don't know what you guys think, but I almost feel like that is telling me that the defense is in trouble. If that's part of your lineup, then they don't have a whole lot to go with. Fear is not a reason to shoot a gun through a locked door. She could have shot one of the kids. Do you imagine if one of the kids had been in, like if she had brought Izzy, or is it Ira and Izzy? If she'd brought one of the boys and one of the boys had been standing there, instead of her getting shot in the abdomen, one of them could have been shot in the shoulder or in the neck or worse. It could have gone through the door, ran through. I think they called him Izzy, Isaac. They called him Izzy or something. It could have gone into the field. It could have been a stray bullet through the fence, and boom, one of the kids could get shot in the back. Like she was reckless. This was some absolutely, girl, get out my head, Mimi. It was some very reckless behavior, which is why she's been sitting in jail now for a year. I don't know that she has anyone. This man sitting behind her, maybe he's a friend, who knows? Maybe he's the one, oh girl, I was about to say the genius that told her to go buy a gun to begin with. Somebody was in Susan's ear, gassing her head up, telling her what she should do. Someone in her circle, someone on the phone was telling her. Um, and look at you.
Let me know when
Friend,
you
do you have a
guys are
picture of the
ready.
victim? Yes, she's I'll show you in a minute.
Whoever has saved this copy probably needs to follow on the computer so you can send it to me.
I'm doing it, Your Honor.
I got it.
Okay. But do you have the copy that, because you fixed errors, did you send those to him?
I have Ms. Sizemore's copy
Fixed.
open on my computer.
Nothing, if you want to clear a room, just mention jury instructions and man, you will clear a room. I think that's the way.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me let me see. I know I do, but I was trying to find you. Farrah, give me a minute. Oh. Okay, hold on. Let me find her here. Oh, my bad. Um, a single mother who lived with her 4 children, a team mom for her children's football, cheerleading teams, devoted friend devoted friend or some ways, AJ, Ajike, maybe. Owens' family described the 35-year-old woman who was shot and killed by her neighbor in Ocala in 2023. Trial begins Tuesday. Lauren, 60, who was arrested on charges of manslaughter with a firearm, culpable negligence, battery, 2 counts of assault, death of Owens. Sheriff officials say Owens went to Lawrence to talk to her about an interaction with her children. The delay in arresting Lawrence sent the community into an uproar. About 24 neighbors were among the people demanding the charges be brought against Lawrence. We should not be here protesting for this. She should have been charged. I don't make it do, it don't make no sense, y'all. It said it don't make no sense, said Takara Davis, who helped organize the protest. Our message today is we're not going anywhere until justice. We're not stopping until we get justice. Originally, Marion Sheriff Billy Woods said he couldn't arrest Lawrence unless he could prove she was not acting in self-defense because the Florida Stand Your Ground law. Well, that's why the investigators interviewed her 2 times, and based on her statements, it wasn't giving. It wasn't giving at that time. Can you guys see this? Am I on the oh, you guys okay, hold on. All right, let's go back and see what was going on as court was ending because they could be doing some little motions or whatever, that sometimes are interesting to me. Let's go back over here. I'm sure it's almost done.
The way they should, deal with riots. When you start reading jury instructions, oh, I can't take that. Okay. Obviously, we'll start with 3.1.
I'm gonna just say this because I know some of you guys are wondering. I'm just wondering what happened to the judge's face. Like, did he have some sort of accident? Does he have some, like what is it? Because he seems like such a nice man, and I mean, you can't help but notice that there's something. I just wonder what that is. Um, but he seems to have such a nice demeanor about him. Um, Anyway, I mean, I like this judge so far. He doesn't seem to be an asshole at all. He seems to be quite fair. He called out some things about socioeconomic, social, I don't want to say social justice, but I think he got it. Like, yeah, we're not going to dog whistle with this hood comment. Shame on the defense for trying that angle, because sis, you live there. That's your neighborhood. That's not my neighborhood. That's your neighborhood, sis. Why would you put down the neighborhood where you live? And he even said that, like, you live there and Miss Rosalie lives there, right? So anyway, can you believe that? You gonna dog whistle your own neighborhood? How dare you? Or allow your defense attorney to
3.2.
try to make it seem like it's a bad neighborhood? As sad as it might seem, there's probably a lot of people in that area who would like to live in that neighborhood. It might not be for everyone, but it looked like a working class neighborhood. People are working, people are, spending their check on their rent. It's a rental community. At the end of the day, everybody doesn't live in the lap of luxury. And it's just, that's very unfortunate they were trying to go low. I'm glad the judge called it out.
Next is 7.1, Introduction to Homicide. I normally don't read the title to that. It just seems like an odd title, Introduction to Homicide.
Well, that's what it is.
You're talking about the specific title?
Right.
Call it a homicide, because that's what it is. She killed somebody. Call it Introduction to Homicide, because the ladies on the jury need to understand that you're not sitting there with a sewing circle. You're sitting there because sis decided she was scared in her own place that she chose to live and talk shit to kids, and wasn't prepared for a mom to come confront her, and decided that now all of a sudden you're scared. Let me stop, because girl, we'll be
Normally,
going all night.
I mean, I don't mind having. I don't. I mean, I don't mind leaving it there. I'm just saying I don't usually read it out loud because it's kind of weird
I'll take it out, Jim.
sounding. If you just want to put,
I'll just take it out.
yeah, feel like an introductory course that
Law school.
taught to first year law students or something like that. Has everyone looked at 7.1 now?
Yes, Judge.
I mean, leave in the title is justifiable and excusable homicide. Leave that in.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone have any objection to anything on 7.1?
Zero.
Okay, let me they're just kind of going through some procedural things. Let me pivot to this real quick. Let me turn the sound down because it's going to aggravate. Like, I can't listen to both at the same time. There's the lawyers. Let me show you some of these pictures that can help with some of the things you might have missed, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow. I did drop a Nesto video. Okay, this might be something you guys want to see. Okay, so here's that cheap ring. This is the little blink camera she had, right? Okay, let me start from the. Okay. Okay, here's her door. There's the door jam. Wasn't nobody coming in. Look at that bullet hole. Can you guys see this? Okay, good. There's that umbrella behind the door. Sis had stuff. You had an umbrella. That wasn't enough. Man wasn't coming through to beat your ass. I mean, she might have came through to talk to you, but she wasn't no one's trying to touch on no damn nasty Susan. Susan was over there doing too much. How did she get the trajectory of that bullet? Was she standing on something? Do you guys think she stood on a chair? Look at the beam. Can you guys see that? Look how they did. You guys remember Dexter? How Dexter used to have those red strings lined up? Look at the trajectory of the and then I guess cuz she was tall, how did that bullet hit her? Maybe she was standing back from the door at that point. I wonder if that lady stood up on a chair or on her couch and shot the bullet that way. I don't know. What the hell is that? Is that her purse? Ew. Is that her bullet? That's her trash can. That's the trash can where she keeps her guns next to her bed with important papers. That's the Ruger. There's the cartridges, I guess, or the what do they call it? Capsules, cartridges. And when you shoot it, that's what becomes the actual bullet. We missed some of the testimony of the neighborhood. Tomorrow, if they rest their case tomorrow, we'll go back to day one to some of the testimony we missed because I think witness 3 and 6 were the two sons and they did testify. They don't show their faces, but you can hear their voices. So we missed that yesterday. Or the day before yesterday. I forgot what was I doing? Today's Wednesday. Monday when no. Uh that was testimony. That was testimony yesterday, but we didn't get into that. Um, that's the no trespassing on her. That's her patio. That is not a vestibule. That's the back of the house. And that's the private property sign. I don't think it's going anymore. That was the last picture.
Yeah, say the person against whom the defensive force was used was in the process of
So I guess
unlawfully
they're trying to get
entering
jury instructions ready so that if they do rest their case tomorrow, they can give the adequate instructions to the jury so they can
in an
deliberate.
unoccupied vehicle. You could say dwelling or residence. Okay.
I'd like to add or keep in or had a non-forcibly entered dwelling or residence. Like that.
Or had unlawfully and forcibly entered a dwelling or residence, or if that person was attempting to remove another against that person.
Do you guys want to watch this part? Or are we ready to go?
Okay.
I don't think
So we
that
have a
lady
paragraph on
was
defendant being
going
put
for
in
her like
case.
that.
Ms. Lawrence, I want you to understand two things, and I'll give you an opportunity to think this over overnight.
Well, the way she had her blink cameras set up, they were facing the window and they were saying at night you can't see because it's beaming off. I mean, we have a system, but we also have we used to use in our old house, which was Arlo, and the blink might be similar to Arlo. If any of you guys have Arlo's cartridge or the magazine. Um she can't be that tall. Can you believe it? There's no way she's that tall. She probably was standing up on something. Any Sarah Boone news? Girl, they had a hearing at 1:45. Hold on a second. Let me see. Let me look. Well, we'll just keep that view. They had a hearing at 1:45, but y'all, we were busy, so I couldn't. Let me go check. Hold on. There was a hearing today, 1:45 on some things. Hold on. 7 hours ago. Hold on. There was so much today. It was like, my God. All right, let me find Sarah Boone hearing. I'm sure somebody had to carry it unless everybody's over here at damn Susan's. Oh, did I just see 1 hour ago? Sarah Boone motions hearings. Okay. I think this is someone's commentary channel. Let me see. Okay, let me check Court TV. You guys are some court watchers just like me. Please pay it tomorrow. What, Sarah? We're gonna find it though. Sarah. When oh, poor George. Sarah. That was awful. I'll have to find it. I don't even see it. Maybe they didn't stream it today. Here's something. Let me see. Is this an interview with the Okay, hold on a second. This is AJ Owens' mom. I'm not sure who this gentleman is, but he was in court with her. Let's catch a little bit of this and I'm gonna let y'all go because I know we've been long. I mean, this is long. Okay, but let's hear what they're saying on Court TV.
Person-to-person condolences. On behalf of everyone at Court TV Network, we're so sorry for your loss. This can't be easy to speak about what happened to your daughter and just person-to-person. We're so sorry you're going through this. May we start, please, with how you were doing this morning and how AJ's children are doing this morning?
Julie, this has been one of the hardest roads that I've ever traveled for the children. Just seeing that video of the news being broken to the boys just broke my heart. I had never seen it. The children are once again having to experience monumental milestones without their mother. We're already halfway through the first week of school. This was a very special time for both mom and the children. And once again, she's not here to experience that with them. And we're on the heels of many more experiences that she will not be a part of. We have birthdays coming up. The kids are sad and they're hurting. As you can imagine, this is a horrific time in their life. And we're just trying to cope and get through it as best as we can, but it's difficult times, difficult days, always.
I think it is just unconscionable. It's a nightmare, and yet you're living this nightmare. And I know everyone watching, just thinking about what you're having to go through, what your kids are having to go through. It's hard to imagine the pain, to wrap your mind around the pain. And Ms. Dias, I think one of the things that makes this even more painful on these facts is that it seems, based on what this defendant has admitted to saying, that race was a part of this. Would you talk about the painfulness of hearing that and the animosity that was going on and the terrible things that were being said? Oh, and we lost Ms. Diaz's shot. We're going to do what we can to repair it. I believe we still have Attorney Anthony Thomas, though. And certainly you can answer this question. I was going to ask you about some more of the legal matters, but you're familiar with these facts. Mr. Thomas, the N-word being used, the R-word being used, directed, at Ms. Owens, her children, by this neighbor in this ongoing feud. How much do you think race was a part of the issue that the jury is deciding now in this trial, the issue of the homicide?
Well, certainly the racial slurs used against AJ and her children were definitely something that were a key sort of critical point made in this case. The lawyers, the prosecution and defense, both went back and forth with the judge in some of the pretrial hearings with regards to just that same issue. And what the judge used was that, or said or ruled, was that the racial...
This weirdo, he sat up there and told those kids some weird story about some kids getting raped. I mean, not kids. She told the kids a weird story about like a grape, some inappropriate ass shit. They should have been calling the police on her and having her evaluated. She was talking strange to the kids. You know what I'm saying? She really should have been told to leave those kids alone a long time ago. And I'm talking about from a standpoint of the police telling her to leave and stop talking to the kids, but that's not the way it went down. But she used to tell the kids to fuck off. She used to curse the kids out. A mess.
Slurs won't actually come in. In fact, the only thing that the lawyers will be able to say, or even the witness testified to, is just the simple term, a racial slur. Now, when you say racial slurs, I'm sure most adults know exactly what's going on when you just look at the races being played out here. AJ and her children are Black, Susan is white. And so when those sort of things are said and tried to inflame the jury, so what we would be just the truth and the facts to come out so that the jury can make an informed decision about Susan's guilt.
Most certainly. Mr. Thomas, tell me, have you filed a civil action?
There hasn't been a civil action filed at this time.
Okay. Is it your intention to do so perhaps after the conclusion of the criminal trial?
Yes, the family has given me instructions to make sure that we fully make sure that Susan Lorincz is both tried in a criminal and civil court.
I appreciate that. I have a clip for you, Mr. Thomas, I want to play here. This is from the defendant's attorney, and he's talking about why he says she shot AJ Owens in self-defense.
She had just gone through Ajike Owens, her neighbor, had come to her door and pounded that door violently for minutes. And Susan shot through that door. And what the evidence will show is that she shot through that door for self-defense.
And Attorney Anthony Thomas, tell us, what do you say to that legal argument that her defense team is making?
False narrative, absolutely a false narrative. AJ Owens was not trying to break down the door. As a matter of fact, you don't get AJ at Susan's door, but for Susan threatening AJ's children. And so when the intent is to knock on the door to talk to Susan, there's no intention to break down the door to hurt Susan. Susan feared for whatever repercussions she thought was there, but most certainly there was no presence of AJ knocking down the door. There was a glass sliding door next to the front door. If AJ had any sort of intent to break into Susan's home, the easier route would have been through a glass door, not through a door where she's knocking on the door asking Susan to come outside to talk to her about threatening her children.
Appreciate that. And fortunately, we were able to restore the shot of Ms. Pamela Diaz, AJ's mother. I want to go back because we didn't get what you said earlier when everything kind of froze. But I was talking about just how painful this is for you and your family, and how it's hard for any. I always say on the show, I think there's no greater pain than a parent who has to bury their child. And I mean, tragically, you've had to do that. And now you're looking out for your grandchildren and they're growing up without their mother. And there is a racial component to this case that has to be very painful for you to hear and for your grandkids to hear. Would you speak to that, please?
Pain of losing a daughter or your child is something that you cannot describe. It is a pain that hurts. It's with you constantly, daily. Something that will never heal. I see and listen to the audio of my daughter fighting for her life, the moments that she took her last breath, all because Susan recklessly took the law into her hands. And she's never showed any bit of remorse for taking the life of a mother. Showed only concern about her cats being safely secured. She has always been harassing, agitating the neighborhood children. She was just a nuisance, a terror, a racist, calling them slaves, the N-word, telling them this is not the Underground Railroad. She was known as, quote unquote, the Karen of the neighborhood. And to know that someone took my daughter's life senselessly, recklessly, when she posed no threat, I don't know how I or the children can come back from that.
You are
something
so
that will live with us for the rest of our lives.
And I apologize. I didn't mean to step on you there. We have a little delay. I was just saying how I admire your strength so much. You are so graceful and are exhibiting so much strength. And I can't imagine how hard that is. With respect to this, quarrel that was going on between the defendant and your beautiful daughter, how much of it were you aware of, Ms. Diaz? Like, did it ever come up in conversation? Did AJ ever talk about it? Just curious how big of a thing it was.
My daughter and the children had told me over the years about, they referred to her as the Karen, and that she would videotape them, call them names, but I didn't understand the magnitude of.
I just want to say one thing. If it was a man, if there was a dirty old man talking to kids, saying things about grape, telling kids to fuck off, talking to them real salty, it would have been a problem. And I think sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about the neighborhood and how they handled the situation. I think they tried to deal with her, right? But if it had been, like a 58-year-old guy talking to kids weird, if it was a 50-year-old guy, 58, over there in his windows, recording people on the phone, acting weird like her, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I wonder if it would have gone a little bit differently and they'd have either ran him off or he would have gotten into some trouble prior to. Um, I don't know. Anyway, let's let the mom finish up and then I'm gonna let y'all go.
Of it. When you hear someone was videotaping the children, I dismissed it as that.
Unfortunately, we lost Ms. Diaz's shot again. Attorney Anthony Thomas, if you know what she may have shared there, if she had shared with you how she kind of dismissed the videotaping, by all means, feel free to jump in. If not, we'll leave it there. I don't want you to speak for her if you haven't had that discussion already.
Well, yeah. So the knowledge about Susan Lorinc's interactions with the kids was something that was known amongst Ms. Diaz, as well as with AJ and the kids that was shared. It was remarkable to see that what Ms. Diaz probably didn't understand with regards to the magnitude was that the sheriff's department, law enforcement, was called during these situations that just escalated into Susan calling the police, trying to create a case to get AJ and her children somehow in some level of trouble with law enforcement. Each time law enforcement arrived out to the scene of the apartments, they would leave, and actually most of the time leave with instructions Susan to leave the children alone because they were just kids playing in an open field that was neither owned by Susan nor her landlord. And because of that, everyone just wanted Susan to stay away and to stop calling law enforcement. But she never did. And so, we can say, unfortunately, in this situation, there is extensive evidence from police body cam from February of 2022 all the way to July or June of 2023. And that's when, unfortunately, Susan killed AJ Owens.
Prosecutors are going back. They're going back to that history. We're seeing it in the trial, developing how there was a buildup to that dreadful day, June 2nd of 2023. Mr. Anthony Thomas, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Please give our best regards to your client, Ms. Pamela Diaz, and thank her for us, for the time that you both have shared with us this morning on opening statements. You're welcome back always.
Please welcome President Ronald Reagan, who has a few questions for you.
What a long day, guys. That was fun, though. We will resume this later. I'm looking for something for someone. Isn't that how it always is on the YouTube streets? I'm looking for something for someone. Let me catch my breath and eat some food. I feel like I've been sitting here all day, which I haven't. I actually did a couple things while we were watching this, but you guys are some troopers. Thank you for everybody who stuck with it. If you guys want to do this again tomorrow, we will. This was so much fun. And I enjoyed court watching with you guys. So anyway, guys, you guys have a good evening and we will take this back up a little bit later. Okay. If I don't see you until tomorrow, I'm just going to be like resting my brain from this. But if I do find Sarah Boone and we can do like a quick 30 minutes or something, I love court watching too, don't you? It's awesome. Anyway, did you guys see Melnick got disqualified yesterday? Not to bring up one other thing as I'm exiting. It's posted on Patreon. I think it's a free member post, so go check it out. Okay, guys, you guys take care. Have a wonderful afternoon. If you see me, you see me. If not, you'll see me tomorrow, okay? You guys take care. Have a good night, okay? Bye, guys. Love you. Bye, Bougie Gang. Okay, guys, I'm back. I cannot log out of this live. This is the weirdest thing. I ended up clearing out all my cookies in my computer because something was going on. And now I have to like log back into YouTube. I have to let me run this outro. Okay.